as Michigan beat Boston College. A week later, Irish eyes were crying as a last-second field goal capped a come-from-behind classic. Meanwhile, Michigan State opened against Kansas with disappointment. George Perlis was looking for more against Notre Dame and got it a week later. His Spartans led by 13 at the half, only to suffer a heartbreaking loss. Victories in Michigan's grasp September 24th, but the catch by Westbrook shattered all Wolverine dreams of an undefeated year. The Spartans dominated Miami of Ohio for win number 1, and last week laid an ambush for defending Big Ten champion Wisconsin in East Lansing. Ty Wheatley returned for the Wolverines in his first start and left Hawkeyes in his wake. It's October 8th, and it's the Battle of Michigan next. Seventh ranked and once beaten, and that on an answered prayer by Colorado. And today, in front of 106,000 home fans, the 7th ranked Wolverines get set for their in-state rivals, the Spartans of Michigan State. And hi again, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler. Welcome to Ann Arbor. It's the 87th meeting for these in-state rivals. Michigan has a decided edge, and in the last 25 games, the edge goes to the team that wins the rushing battle in the football game. Gary Danielson's my partner. Gary, any difference with that today?
Well, I've been assured both teams will throw in this football game, but it's going to come down to running the football. Both teams will feature a pair of tailbacks. But Brad, I don't think there's a better pair of tailbacks in the country than Biakmatuka and Wheatley. Biakmatuka is starting to push Wheatley. Ty Wheatley is now a healthy football player, and he told the press this week that he is quicker and faster than a year ago because he's lost 15 pounds. Now, I've seen him play for 2 years. I got to see this because he was pretty fast before.
Well, that's the guy that the Michigan State defense will see. Hank Bulla, the defensive coordinator, his club did a nice job on Wisconsin last week. Any changes today?
No, Henry Bulla will give you what you've seen on film, and what he does is attack the football team. Pump and run on the outside, and he'll put 9, sometimes 10 people in the box, and he attacks all the time. The thing that's different about Henry Bulla, he rushes different types of guys. Look at this time. Darrell Bevel will get hit by 2 safeties on this play. Michigan's going to have to prove that they can throw against that type of look at this football game, or it's going to be a long game because Michigan State will try to stop the run first. Remember, Wheatley only rushed for 33 yards last year.
Well, the difference could be, though, it's a healthy quarterback and wide receiver core here at Michigan with Collins, Hayes, and Amani Toomer. It was a huge win for George Perlis last week. They get bigger every week, I guess. Who's its biggest for? Coach Moeller or Coach Perlis? With more on that is Adrian Karsten.
Well, Brad, I've been picking up on some of the pregame conversation down here, and there seems to be some disagreement as to who is under more pressure to win this game here today. Even after beating up on the Rose Bowl champion Badgers last week, some fans from East Lansing still say that George Perlis' job is still in jeopardy if he doesn't beat Michigan today and Ohio State next week. Well, Perlis tells me he wishes just once someone come into his office and tell him that face-to-face. After being manhandled by Michigan State in this game last year, in which Coach Gary Moeller still calls that game the most devastating loss of his career. And, of course, after Colorado, well, 2 straight losses here at home in Michigan Stadium is simply unacceptable. Undefeated, feeling no pressure at all, is Mike Tirico back in our studios. Mike?
We never lose them back here, Adrian, that's for sure. The Big Ten start of what will be a great day of college football here on ESPN and ESPN2. The action already underway in the ACC. Georgia Tech and North Carolina, 2 teams looking for a first conference win this afternoon and wasting no time to get on the board, the Yellow Jackets. First play from scrimmage, Tommy Luganbill pulling out and looking for Omar Cassidy, and he is gone. 77-yard score, but since then, Jason Stanisic has the first passing TD against the Tech defense. All tied at 7. Ron Paulus is playing. Notre Dame has a 3-0 lead. In the Big East, they're scoreless in the Dome, and the second to last of a great rivalry between the Hedges. The Bulldogs lead by 3. Your lineup for today, time permitting after this game, the college football scoreboard will paddle along for canoeing, and then seniors golf. You'll see Trevino, Player, and Dent, among others. Sports Center, then the Residents in college football scoreboard, and Florida State, Miami. Enough said. We'll wrap that up with another Residents in scoreboard and Sports Center. A huge Saturday. Settle in. We kick it off in the Big Ten next with Mr. 6. Ty Wheatley and Michigan against Michigan State. The kickoff is next.
The Spartans and the Wolverines getting set from Ann Arbor on a perfect day here in southern Michigan. 78 degrees. We do have a breeze that could pick up as we go and a possibility of late showers. But it's a fast track to start with. And George Pearl is coming off a huge win over Wisconsin. Looks to move into the #2 spot all time in career coaching victories at Michigan State if he can win again today. On the other side is Gary Moeller. 5th season at Michigan. 3 times a Big Ten champion. Trying to get that Big Ten championship back that they lost a year ago. Michigan won the toss. They have deferred to the second half. And so that means Remy Hamilton will tee it up and kick it away. Derek Mason stands back deep for the Spartans. Michigan State 2-2. Michigan 3-1. They started the series in 1898. It's lasted almost a century, and we're ready to go for the 87th edition in Ann Arbor this afternoon. Mason's going to have to let it go. Cut back. And the Spartans and their huge quarterback, Tony Banks, will take the field. Tony, the player of the week offensively in the Big Ten for his performance last week. Goulburn and Green join him in the backfield. His favorite target is Mill Coleman, but today a change at tight end with Bob Organ out with the injury will put some pressure on Josh Kerr. Nigel Carter, the other wideout. And up front, Shane Hanna has to watch for the pressure from the outside of those rushing linebackers of the Wolverines. Cronin, Berkmeyer, Denton, and DeMarco join him on the front wall for the Spartans as they'll line it up at the 20-yard line. First play of the game for the 6'6" junior college transfer, Tony Banks. A little delay, and Goulburn, a big hole right off the bat. Goes almost 8 yards before Chuck Winters can bring him down. Defensively for Michigan. Up front, Trent Zankowitz, the light has come on over his head, the coaches say. Having a great year. Henderson and Horn join him in a 3-man group. Matt Dyson, the outside linebacker, set to play today for the first time in 3 weeks. Morris and Irons and Price join him. And in the secondary, Ty Law with 6 interceptions last year, looking for one today. Johnson, Thompson, and Winters in the secondary. And the second man through is Goulburn, and he won't get the first down. Stopped about a half-yard short.
It's an important replacement getting Mac Dyson healthy for Michigan, Brad. They feel he's their best pass rusher, and in third down situations, when he's able to get in the pocket on Tony Banks, will be a key in the football game. They really missed him.
Had a broken bone in his foot, suffered early in the season, sat out 3 weeks, and now raring to go. Third down a yard, Michigan State on their opening drive at the 29-yard line. Goulburn's going to get the first down. He had to earn it. Dragged down by Zankowitz and Dyson, but he got it by about the nose of the football, it appears. As they unpile, and right on the line, Ron Winter, the referee, says first down, Spartans. Goulburn, a sensational game last week, Gary, with a couple of touchdowns, and really played tough against the Badgers.
He really has, and I think he's benefited by the 2 redshirt freshmen coming in and spelling him. He's not a guy that can carry the ball 35 times and carry the whole load. He's got to have some help, and he's getting it.
On a first down carry, he got some help being put down by Dyson and Steve Morrison, the 2 linebackers. And we'll take it to Mike Tirico. Mike.
Brad, after the disappointing loss last week on ESPN to Alabama, Georgia trying to bounce back, taking on Clemson. Eric Zier already up 3-0. Going to pull out, look for his favorite receiver, Bryce Hunter. Tough inside the red zone, 21-yard score, and the Dogs lead by 10.
Sensational performance by Zier last week in the 1-point loss to Alabama, and off to a good start against Clemson in the hedges. Here, Michigan State with a 2nd and 10, and pressure coming on Banks, and down he goes. That wall just collapsed on it. Jason Horn and Trent Zankowitz, the first ones there.
I'll tell you, Trent Zankowitz that time took an inside charge, and he was in there before Tony Banks could even move. Hopefully for Michigan, that is not a serious injury, because that has been the problem with Zankwitz's career. He's just been bumped and bruised. You're going to see him on the left side of your screen. He takes an inside charge, and he just gets into Tony Banks' face before he can even set up the pass on that time. And, boy, that is a big play for Michigan. They have had trouble putting pressure up the middle with this defense. And if Zankowitz and Horn and Tony Henderson can do it, that'll spell trouble for this Michigan State football team.
Zankowitz coming off, but he looks to be okay. The trainers don't help him. He'll head to the sideline. And And a huge third down for Michigan State on their opening drive. Third down, 18. Banks fires, found his man, but it's just a short gain to Nigel Carter. And out there's Chuck Winters to make the play. And it's punting time for the Spartans.
I'll tell you, it was 3rd and 20 that time, and Michigan came with an all-out blitz. Chuck Winters, who is the safety, was matched up man-to-man. If he doesn't make that tackle, that's a big play. You can see Lloyd Carr, defensive coordinator, is willing to gamble in this football game.
Chris Solani to punt. Amani Toomer back deep, had his longest return of the year last week against Iowa. That punt almost blocked. Toomer draws a beat on it and takes it at the 38. Broke a tackle. He's given a lot of ground, and it's going to cost him. Down he goes back at the 32-yard line. A 6-yard loss on the return as Todd Collins will come in at quarterback. Didn't throw a touchdown pass last week for the first week in a long time. Wheatley and Foster join him in the backfield. Amani Toomer is his favorite receiver. He was sensational against Boston College, 179-yard day. Hayes and Remersma join him at the receiving corps. Back after a one-game absence due to injuries, John Runyon at the left guard with Jenkins, Payne, Marinero, and Sullivan. And a first down for the Wolverines of Michigan, their own 33-yard line. The toss to Tyrone Wheatley. Got the corner. And what may have been a touchdown-saving bump out of bounds by Robert Sherelds, or he could have been off to the races. Defensively, for the Spartans of Michigan State, Hammonds is their senior captain, but Aaron Jackson, who moved to the nose this year, playing better every week. He joins Dale Person and Hammonds up front. The linebackers, Reggie Garnett, 10 tackles and a fumble recovery last week. Christensen, Allen, and Reese join that excellent crew. In the secondary, Stan Callender had a big interception against Wisconsin that led to the state win. Martin, Manson, and Sherelds, who just made the tackle, round out the secondary. Second down and a yard after Tyrone Wheatley picked up 9. Collins. Plenty of time, and now he'll run for it. No problem with a first down scramble by Todd Collins, and he got near midfield before he was bumped out of bounds.
Brad, that was a bust by Mercury Hayes that time. He checked off to a pass. Mercury Hayes was downfield blocking on the play. Here's Hayes right here. 10 guys get it as a pass play. Mercury Hayes is going to run down there. Now, he's open, I'll admit that, but he's got his back to the quarterback. That's a tough catch. He wants to go to Mercury Hayes. He's out there ready to say, hey, I got him blocked. The problem is, it was a running play.
A good choice by Collins.
Collins was able to save the play.
Picked up the first down at the 49. Two tight ends set, Cooper and Remersma. Michigan State thinking about a blitz. And they'll come with it. The gives to Wheatley. And Ike Reese, who made so many tackles a week ago and some big plays against Wisconsin, stops him after a 1-yard gain.
I'll tell you, he is so quick. A redshirt freshman, he just slithers in there. He's about 218 pounds. He's going to line up all over the football field and just try to make things happen. You know, he's becoming that old George Webster type player,
right,
where he's almost a monster back out there. They line him up on the outside, but because he's so quick and active, he may rush from any position.
He probably doesn't know who George Webster is, but all the Spartan fans would love that analogy. Second down and 9. Collins with a deep drop. Pressured a bit, came off to a second receiver and broken up, but they're going to call pass interference on Damian Manson. I thought he made a nice play coming around with the left hand, but he must have gotten somebody.
He did. Actually, he bumped him before he grabbed him and then knocked the pass out. He wanted to go to his right side. Todd Collins does a good job of coming off the receiver. He bumps him there. It was just prior to that, trying to get the ball to his secondary receiver, Pierre Cooper, and that's what Todd Collins...
Defense penalized at the spot of the foul. First down.
That's really what I believe Todd Collins has progressed to so much this year, coming off to his secondary receivers. He's such a great, accurate thrower, and now he's able to utilize his whole offense. That's why he's just having a great football year.
Saw Hank Buller with his hands to his brow as if to say, well, there's the first mistake we've made. But it was an aggressive play by Manson. First down automatically at the 44-yard line with a penalty. Ty Wheatley on a cutback. Ran into Callender, ran him over, and got near the 40-yard line. Down to the 41. It's going to bring up second down at about 6. Ty Wheatley on the season. A season that, of course, started late due to a second-degree shoulder separation suffered in a preseason scrimmage. But boy, did he bounce back last week against Iowa. Sensational day. Over 180 yards on the ground.
Gary Moeller has said that both will be used. Biakabatuka and Wheatley will keep him fresh throughout the game. 10 men on the line of scrimmage for Michigan State.
And a second down and 6 for the Wolverines. Wheatley again. This time hurdles one man and comes down about 2 yards short of a first down as he got near the 36. Dale Person in on the stop.
Gary Moeller has had great success turning around this Michigan program with his added emphasis on the passing game. But this year, he's brought in spring football and so far in the fall, renewed emphasis on the running game. He believes that he has to be able to run the ball effectively to win the Big Ten championship. And, you know, last year, Wisconsin and Ohio State were so effective running the ball. He's kind of got back to basics this year with the football team. I think it's paid off.
He has on this drive, too. 5 straight runs for Michigan. A third down and 2 here. They struggle in third down situations this year, 31%. Tyrone Wheatley. There's an easy pickup of a first down as he got all the way to the 30-yard line. Give Wheatley about 7 on the carry before Manson made the tackle.
About now you'll see Biakabatuka, and he is coming in right about now. You give the ball to a guy 6 or 7 times. Remember, Wheatley has really only played 2 games, and Biakabatuka is coming on strong. They really believe he's got the fastest feet of any back that Michigan's been around here in a long time. And, you know, Brad, we were talking, he's a powerful runner,
He really is. His touchdown run last week against Iowa, he took about 5 hits en route to the end zone and left one of the Hawkeye defenders without a helmet in the end zone. First down at the 30. 7th play of the Michigan drive. Biakabatuka on the toss. And Tumunga, Biakabatuka 5 yards to the 25 before Aaron Jackson and Matt Christensen can track him down. He's become sort of a crowd favorite. Gets up limping a little bit after his first carry.
Toss play. Everybody just going to have to put a hat on everybody else. Che Foster does a good job on Christensen on that side to give just a crease. And those plays that really look like nothing, if you're willing to hit that hole with your shoulders upfield, will get you 4 and 5 yards.
5 for Biakabatuka that time. There's his season numbers. And a second down and 5 for the Wolverines at the Spartan 25. Here comes a blitz on Collins. It's picked up nicely, and he fires wide open. Toomer, flags are down. We may have a holding call in the Michigan backfield. Toomer made the catch near the 20, which is close to a first down, but I think they're going to bring it back. Maybe too much time when I said Collins had time, huh? Holding. Wolverines.
Well, that's real theory that Henry Bulla has around defense. He says you have to just keep attacking, keep running, and sooner or later the offense will make a mistake. They're either going to drop it on the ball, as we look at Henry Bulla, a long time.
Offense. 10-yard penalty for the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
Right side of your screen is where the holding takes place. I think it's going to number 75, who's in there for Sullivan. That's who it is, holding on the play. And that's really the key to the attack defense that Henry Bulla uses, is to just keep running and make them make some plays on defense. Sooner or later, you're going to get a turnover or a big penalty.
The penalty Gary's talking about backs it up to the 44-yard line.
That's not a bunt signal. I've seen that before. They do it all, but they don't bunt.
See if we got a hit and run on the second down at 24. Here comes the hit part. Here maybe comes the run. Nope, Biakabatuka slips down. He actually lost about 4. And then kind of an aggressive play by Smith at the end of Biakabatuka trying to get up, almost drew a flag.
Ike Reese is going to line up all over this football field and keep moving around. Watch him. He's going to line up there. And that's confusing to the blocking assignments for the offensive line. They have to be verbalizing where this guy's coming and see that's how he gets into the backfield. Moving him around every time he's up there. What you're going to have to do in that situation, Brad, is assign a back to him. And they feel that's a good mismatch for them when you assign a back to Ike Reese.
Michigan's third down conversion numbers. So with 7:20 left, they've got 3rd and 27. Collins going deep. Got a man out there. Hayes is wide open. But he doesn't get to the first down stick. Couldn't quite find his footing, but he picked up 26 yards. Martin is the man he beat out there on the corner.
Well, if Mercury Hayes would have known how open he was, I don't think he would have thought that he was going to get hit. Hayes is in the slot on this play, and this was just a bust by the Michigan State secondary. you're playing man-to-man coverage. One guy's playing zone in the middle of the screen right there. You got one guy playing zone, the rest of the team playing man-to-man. That's a prescription for disaster. Michigan State was very fortunate.
Gary Moeller sent out the field goal unit to a small battering of Booze. 38-yard attempt. Remy Hamilton upcoming. 9 of 11 on the year. Hamilton, the hero of the Notre Dame game, from 38 right down Main Street. Michigan, a good-looking drive, and on 3rd and long, they come up short, but not on the scoreboard. They've got a 3-point lead.
Broncos. Cherokee. ESPN's presentation of Big Ten college football is brought to you by Subaru. Test drive an all-weather, all-road, all-wheel drive Subaru today.
Last year, the Michigan fans didn't have a lot to cheer about. They have early here a field goal, capped a 46-yard march in 5:34 on the opening drive of the ball game for the Michigan offense. They end up with 3 points. And Hamilton, the man that put it through, set the kick away. Derek Mason had to watch the first one go out of the end zone. Mason will get a chance this time from the 6. And he'll go down at the 21. Sanders made a stop on the special teams, and we go to Mike Tirico. Mike.
We're at Notre Dame. No Becton, no Zellers. Robert Farmer fumbles. BC going to kick a field goal? No, it's a fake. Matt Hasselbeck, the son of Don Hasselbeck, the old Patriots tight end, gets a first down. Very next play, David Green takes the handoff 7 yards into the end zone. In the second, the Eagles lead by 4.
Dan Henning with an early gamble. Here, Michigan by 3. And the Spartans with their second offensive series at the 21-yard line. This time the fullback rarely carries the football, and Scott Green got about 3 as we go to Adrian Carton.
Guys, keep your eyes on number 83, Josh Kerr, the tight end for Michigan State. Young man, true freshman, his very first start after Oregon was knocked out of the game last week. This came from the Spartan sidelines. They're telling him, look, young man, you're going to have to grow up real fast and prove you can hit somebody. We're not going to run to your side to get off the ball and get your nose up in somebody's face mask. Not doing the job right now.
George Perlis loves those huge tight ends. He says there's a lineman. Dave Mudge may play some tight end today, an extra tight end sets. Goulburn, little delay, and he's delayed from going too far. Tony Henderson, the nose man, makes the hit.
Tony Henderson is the guy that's really coming on strong this year for Michigan. Last year, Sylvester Stanley was the guy who really beat out Tony Henderson, who really was an all-Big Ten second-team player in '92, 2 years ago. Kind of had an off year last year, and it looks like Tony Henderson has rededicated himself. Gary Moeller said he's really pleased with the inside 3 players for that defensive line for Michigan.
He says that's made the difference in the team.
Absolutely.
Michigan State, 3rd down and 8. Just over 5 minutes to go. Here comes a blitz on Banks. He fires out complete, and now it's a man wide open in Ijah Carter. Foot race with Ty Law. Carter inside the 30, cuts back all the way to the 17-yard line. 61 yards.
We talked about the last blitz when he threw the same type of a pass. This time Michigan brings the safety and the corner, a blitz from both sides. This man is going to come, and the corner is going to come, leaving one-on-one coverage to the outside. Remember last time he caught the quick hitch and went outside? This time he fakes outside, goes in. Nice move. You'll learn on the field. Chuck Winters went for the fake. And Ijah Carter, they turns the field upside down on an easy throw.
And Ijah, a career-long 61-yard reception, has it first down. Michigan State at the 16-yard line of the Wolverines. Goulburn with a cutback near the 10.
Both teams and both defensive coordinators, Lloyd Carr for Michigan and Hank Bulla for Michigan State, coming with everything they got, trying to put pressure on the quarterback. Lloyd Carr, defensive coordinator here, said, I'm going to blitz him. Tony Banks is going to have people in his face. I'm coming after him.
2nd down and 5 at the 11-yard line for the Spartans of Michigan State, trailing 3-0. Here's what State's done inside the 20 this year. Goulburn pops right as he got the ball, and again it was Tony Henderson, 79, who made initial contact, and then Trevor Price cleaned up.
the leading tacklers for Michigan's defense are their two inside linebackers, Jarrett Irons and Steve Morrison. But I'll tell you, when you have good nose play like Tony Henderson is giving them right now, I can see why those guys are making a lot of tackles. In the middle, working on Berkmeyer, a good center for Michigan State. Boy, he just manhandled him, reads the play, lays out on his body and makes it.
3rd down and 5, Michigan State. Let's see if they go to the air from the 11-yard line. Banks, the slant, in and out of the hands of Mill Coleman. It would have been a 1st down or maybe a touchdown had he held on, but he took a shot from Deion Johnson.
I think Deion Johnson got his hand on that football after it was thrown. It was a good pass from Banks to Mill. I bet Mill thought he could make that catch, but it appeared to me that Deion Johnson came across his shoulder and slapped it out just as he was about to catch it. Good play by Deion Johnson.
So it brings out the field goal unit for Michigan State, and that means Chris Gardner having a heck of a season for a freshman, a true freshman, 3 for 3 last week from 28 yards, and he's got it up and in. So we've exchanged impressive drives, and now we've exchanged field goals. 3 minutes, 23 seconds left, first quarter. Michigan State and Michigan tied at 3.
The old
Deion to make a play like Johnson just
Well,
made.
he really did. I'll tell you, for Michigan, both outside linebackers are blitzing on the play, so it's man-to-man coverage. And Deion Johnson this time does a great job. Look at him come with his left hand. That was a perfect execution on the offense and great execution on the defense. He breaks up the play. Gardner's able to get the field goal, but that was a touchdown written all. Mill had the touchdown. Johnson comes in and breaks it up.
Gardner capped the 68-yard drive, most of it by Nigeria Carter, remember, on the reception from Tony Banks. And so, kickoff coming, Michigan State. Mercury Hayes from the 3. Oh, man, did he meet a wall of white and green at about the 13-yard line. Let's go to Adrian Karsten.
Brad, the offensive line of the Michigan Wolverines has been warned about holding. Now, you saw him get burned in the first offensive series there. What these guys do, they normally wear their black hand pads, what they're doing today, but they also have put white tape on them. They're getting up underneath the armpits of the Michigan State defensive line and grabbing hold up there and steering these guys around. The officials have warned them, take the white tape off, they're going to throw it out of the game.
Well, of course, that white tape matches the white jerseys of the Spartans of Michigan State.
Team doctor might have warned him about grabbing him by the armpits, too. That gets a little
It's not helping. From the 14, 1st down. Wheatley off the right side, not much. Tyrone maybe got 3. Juan Hammonds in on the tackle.
Yeah, Juan Hammonds just stuffed Gines on that play, and Wheatley had nowhere to run the ball. Juan Hammonds had a great game against Wisconsin last week. Actually, Aaron Jackson and Hammonds both did a good job against that great Wisconsin offensive line. And, you know, if those front 3 guys give room for Ike Reese to make tackles, we haven't even called out Reggie Garnett yet. He's going to make some plays also.
2nd down and 7. 2 tight end group for Michigan.
Michigan State's gone back to a 4-man line.
Wheatley cuts back, danced around 1, and powered his way to the 22. And Garnett and Reese are there to bring him down.
The rover for the Michigan State inside linebackers is Yukini Allen, number 23. He's going to line up inside or at the linebacker position a number of times for Michigan State. He was a down lineman a year ago, so he can give the flexibility to Henry Bullock to either line up inside as a defensive lineman or back off as a linebacker.
Last year, a lineman. This year, a linebacker. Lost some weight to get to that point. Like to put that weight right inside the Michigan tackles right now, 3rd and 2. And they do. And Biaka Batuka is going to lose yardage. Juan Hammonds again. 2 big plays by Hammonds on this drive.
That had to be a busted assignment. Gines that time tried to turn him over to Marinero, and right side of your screen, no one even blocks him. He's got him with his wrong shoulder on a play when you're trying to run 3rd and 4. That's a busted assignment on the offensive line. They're going to have to go over that play. That's poor technique, and that's just not going to work that way. Gines is struggling so far in this game.
And that'll bring out the punting unit. Craig Baker, 47, his longest of the year. The Spartans have got 10 guys loaded up on the line of scrimmage. Mill Coleman waits back deep for Michigan State. Penalty markers down.
I'm sure Michigan moved.
Dead ball. Ball start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
And now Baker's going to be closer to his own end zone. In fact, he'll back up about 1 step in to the Michigan end zone. And now let's see if the Spartans again will load up 10 guys and try to put some heat on the Wolverine punter.
They're going to return on.
Short kick. Everybody clears out of the way. This one's going to roll dead in Michigan territory. And the Spartans will be in great shape on offense at the 49 when we come back. On hand. I guess they know that already, huh?
Hey, at Michigan, they already got the money in the bank.
The 8th largest crowd of all time.
They don't mess around here. Drawing interest.
Right now, we're tied at 3, and Michigan State will work from the Wolverine 49-yard line. Banks to throw on 1st down. If Dyson doesn't bring him down first, and he does. We told you Dyson would have an effect on the Michigan defense, and he did on that play. Let's go to Mike Tirico. Mike.
Brad, there's heat already on Curly Hallman, and it's going to get hotter. Already down 7-0. Florida, the #1 team. Terry Dean to Jack Jackson. 8th touchdown for Jackson. They missed the point and lead by 13.
Brad, that time, Tony Banks audible to a quick hitch to the outside. Michigan gave him a look as man-to-man and then rolled the coverage to the out. Bill Coleman had double coverage that time. Tony Banks had nowhere to throw the ball.
It brings up 2nd down and 14. Now back at the Michigan State 47-yard line. Maybe the final play of the 1st quarter. Banks off the run, and Green, his fullback, dropped it. It was a little bit low, but a normally sure-handed Scott Green couldn't hang on. And there's 8 seconds left in the quarter. Tony Banks right now 2 for 4, but 2 passes have been dropped. Last week, 10 out of 13, 161 yards against Wisconsin. Very efficient in his throwing. He had some big scrambles that picked up 1st down yardage. He was named Big Ten Player of the Week.
Yeah, he had a great game against Wisconsin. He's going to have a game like that against Michigan for this football team to win today. He has to be consistent and methodical.
3 wideouts for him on 3rd down and 14. Buys himself some time. Got a big arm in the middle. It's Mason. 1st down to the 24-yard line. 29 yards on that one.
Well, you called it exactly right, Brad. He bought himself some time. That was a very slow developing play. Banks was very patient. He doesn't like to scramble. He likes to throw off the scramble. He's doing a great job.
And on that one, the quarter comes to a close, tied at 3. Wilson and Adrian Karsten in Ann Arbor to start the 2nd quarter, tied at 3, but the Spartans driving into Wolverine territory with a 1st down at the 24-yard line. Goldburn tripped up just as he got things going, and it's Trent Zengowitz who's back in there defensively. He was shaken up earlier. He makes that stop. Gain of only a yard will bring up 2nd down and 9 for Banks and the Spartan offense. Been a long time getting the play from the bench. Coleman, the wideouts for Banks on a 2nd and 9. They keep it on the ground, though. Goldburn again into the thick of that defensive line of Michigan, and a very short gain again. Going to bring up 3rd down and long.
I'll tell you, Brian DeMarco that time turned out on Matt Dyson, and he appears to me to be limping on the field. I'm wondering if he might have re-injured that foot a little bit, because he looks like he's in trouble out on the field. DeMarco goes 305 pounds, and he pushed Dyson about 5 yards deep.
Well, Marshmallow's already in the end zone, and the Spartans trying to get there, but they've got 3rd and 9 here. Carter, Coleman, and Mason, 3 wide receivers, but we've got a timeout. And there's Dyson, and he is limping badly, as Gary just said. We'll see if he's back in the lineup when we return. A 3rd down and 8 faces the Spartans when we come back.
Historically,
ESPN's presentation of Big Ten college football is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates.
From Palmer Field to the field at hand, Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor with a 3rd down and long situation. Matt Dyson is on the sideline, injured or re-injured. We'll try to get more from the sidelines. It's 3rd down and 9, meanwhile, for the Spartans. And a draw play to Green, the fullback. And he got to the 20, but that's it. Scott Green does not run the ball a lot. He's carried it twice already today. They tried to change up the Michigan defense a little with a quick opening draw. It doesn't work, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, this doesn't really surprise me too much in this type of football game. Michigan State is still playing field position. They're kicking field goals well this year, and he'd like to put 3 more points between George Purley.
Chris Gardner, the man he's called on, this time from 37 yards away, and the freshman got another one. With 13:09 to go in the half, it's now Michigan State in front by a field goal, 6-3. And let's send it to the studio. Mike Tirico. Michael?
Brad, LSU has never beaten number 1. Guess what? Probably not going to happen today. They've changed quarterbacks. They don't change the luck. Melvin Hill is picked off by Anthony Lott. Defensive back named Lott is going to take it 88 yards for the touchdown. Yes, he is related to Ronnie Lott. It's his cousin. 20-0. Gators.
Gators strutting their stuff.
Doesn't look like Ronnie Lott, though. He's got a full finger on that one hand. I can tell
right.
he
cut it off. I want to play.
Cut that off. Yeah, he looked just like him. He didn't have that whole finger there.
Let's get an update on Matt Dyson's injury from Adrian.
Brad, here's the situation. It's an injury to the arch of his left foot. Now, he's complaining about the brace he's wearing on his left knee where the original injury was. He said that is really restraining his movement. On that play where he's getting pushed down the field, apparently that's where the injury occurred. Now he's trying to sell the defensive line coach Greg Madison that he's good to go, but they're going to hold him out for now.
He gives them tremendous pass rush and leadership both out there, and he will be missed if he can't play anymore today. But they were going to play him and play him as long as he could go, and it didn't really last that long. Through a quarter. 29-yard drive in 7 plays, 2:44 the time it took Michigan State to get on the board again. They lead 6-3, and they kick away to Mercury Hayes, who will not have an opportunity to bring it out. And boy, they're still tangling down there on the kick teams, even though that one was a touchback out to the 20. Now, Michigan so far, Gary, has done nothing exotic offensively.
I think the key play for Michigan is they had Wheatley going well early in the football game, but it appears that the defensive fronts for Michigan State has them a bit off balance. They're having trouble picking up protection, and the real game plan for Henry Bullow's defense is to try to keep that offensive line for Michigan guessing, and I think it's working so far.
And you see Michigan only 64 total yards so far. First down for the Wolverines from their own 20. Bianca Batuka, the single setback. Collins over the middle, wide open is Toomer. Nice move around the first man, and Amani Toomer's got it out to the 37-yard line, a 17-yard pickup. Juan Hammond somehow got downfield and helped on the tackle. Toomer great after the catch with a football, Gary.
Not only that, and he is great after the catch with the football, but what I like about him is he feels the zone on this play. He's coming from the right side of your screen to the left. He feels the hole. Now watch him shut it down right in the zone. Slows down, and that allows Collins to throw a very safe pass. Now, once he gets the football, he is a threat, and that's really why the quarterbacks love to throw that type of receiver. Get him the ball, throw a 10-yard pass, it goes big time. Your stats look great.
They sure do. First down, out across the 36-yard line. Collins 3 for 3 today on the season. 4 touchdowns, just 1 interception, and that 68% is on pace to break the all-time completion mark, school record here at Michigan.
I believe he's in striking distance, too, of surpassing Chuck Long's all-time Big Ten passing mark of 65.8% or something like that.
Just throw a number out there.
Those are high numbers.
One of them will stick.
Who knows? Anything above 50 was happening.
And
said, referee blew the whistle, said go ahead and play, and everybody's confused now.
And they will from the 36. First down. 3 wideouts for Collins. Plenty of time over the middle. Completes it to Riemersma, the tight end, and he has it out to the 44-yard line, and we have it out to Mike Tirico. Mike.
We got a quarterback with high numbers that'll stick. The national TV debut of Air McNair. 5 of 7 on the first drive for Alcorn State. Goree White with the touchdown. Air McNair's 20th touchdown pass of the season.
Not a bad year. 20 touchdowns with a long ways to go. Here we have 12:25 to go in the half.
You can see the change in the game plan for Michigan now. They've had trouble picking up the stunts on the run game, so they're going to try to siphon it off a little bit, throw the ball, and see if they can simplify the Michigan State defense.
Second down and 3 from the 43. Comes the blitz, delayed in. Biakabatuka. Hammonds trips him up, got some help, but it was number 89 who's having a big game.
Well, I tell you, Hammonds might as well just line up in the huddle and find out what he knows what every play is. He's been in the backfield more than Todd Collins is in this game, and he's starting off. And, you know, when you're a senior and you've played in these games, you know how important they are, and he has a chance to really have a big game. And he started out talking to Henry Bulla, defensive coordinator, and he said that Juan Hammonds has made his improvement because he's cleaned up his diet. He's bypassed McDonald's a few more times, lost some weight, and he's playing big-time football.
4 tackles already for Juan today. He'd like to get another one here on 3rd and 2. Biakabatuka, cutback run. Tamunga's in the clear. Biakabatuka inside the 20. Saving tackle, knocked out of bounds by Sherrells, or he would have scored. 47 yards for Biakabatuka, his longest of his career.
Well, the cutback and speed of Biakabatuka, but I'll tell you, Michigan State was living on the right side of the screen over here. Jay Riemersma latches up on the safety, and they're calling it holding. Look at that. Number 29, Stan Callender, couldn't get away from Jay Riemersma, and Biakabatuka's running down the sideline free. When Biakabatuka sees a hole, I don't think there's anybody faster hitting the hole with his feet than Biakabatuka. Oh, I'll tell you, the Michigan State bench was just livid with holding on the tight end on the backside.
At any rate, it's 1st and goal, and Michigan inside the 20, 17 out of 19, 10 of them touchdowns. They trail here 6-3. Collins trying to change it. And he throws it away. Good move with Reese in his face. Nobody home over there.
Had a lot of friends that played offensive line in my day, and they don't get holding. If they don't throw the flag, it ain't holding.
That's right.
That's what they say. George Perles, I guarantee you, had his team ready to play in this football game. When they line up against Michigan, I tell you, there it is. It looks to me like he said, I think he was holding, sir.
Something like that. 2nd and goal, Wolverines. At the Spartan 9. Cooper, the tight end, in motion, and Collins doesn't like the looks of something, and he'll call a timeout. Doesn't want to waste one down close. So Todd Collins will come to the sideline to talk to Gary Moeller. Michigan down to 1 timeout now remaining in the half. They trail 6-3 with 11:12 left in the half. Tonight at 7, it's the Residents in College Football Scoreboard Show. And that's followed by CFA Prime Time live from the Orange Bowl. The streak is over, but the rivalry will live on forever, huh? 13th ranked Miami plays host to Bobby Bowden's 3rd ranked Seminoles. 7:30 tonight, right here on ESPN. That'll be a great game. This one is a great game so far, and George Perles is still letting Ron Winters know what for.
Ron says, you know, I didn't see it, but I know what holding is. You don't have to show me again. Right side of your screen, Riemersma, Callender can't get away. You see his jersey being ripped right there. There's no doubt about it. He can't get away from the play right there. Riemersma says, hey, didn't call it? Too bad.
He's still driving him.
Yeah, I know.
And finally deposits him.
Well, I think at the end of the play, I don't think he was holding, but early, Callender tried to get off the block. He wasn't allowed, and that was a big, huge play for him. Both teams have had a big play on a very simple, innocent-looking play. Carter has the little short pass that changes the field, and now Biakabatuka on the cutback. Michigan loves to run 2 tight ends, 1 wide receiver down here, and either run the slant or the fade pass. and the quarterback or the receiver doesn't know what the pass is going to be until they read the alignment as the ball snapped, and then the receiver has the freedom to go inside on the slant or up on the fade. Quarterback has to be prepared to throw either. They practice it constantly. Watch Amani Toomer.
Todd Collins, 4 out of 5 so far, and he's thrown to 4 different receivers, so he's mixed it up well, and he's got 3 wideouts in the group here. On 2nd and goal, Michigan at the Michigan State 9-yard line. They're going to keep it on the ground. Biakabatuka, who got him down close, gets them maybe 3 or 4 more. Yakini Allen made first contact, and the pile is right around the 5.5-yard line.
I think they were expecting the blitz that time from Michigan State. Henry Bullock, guessing just to play ahead of him, said, we're going to just lay back and play some coverage this time. Gary Moeller is his own offensive coordinator. He calls the plays from the sideline by shuttling in running backs, and had pretty good success with his system.
7th play of the Michigan drive, and obviously the biggest one to this point. Toomer and Hayes both to the right side. It looks like Mercury doesn't know if he's set up in the right spot or not. And another timeout Collins will take.
Mercury Hayes very confused. I think that's a good timeout in a scoring game like this.
Michigan out of timeouts, but trying to get the lead. We'll see if they can when we come back. 9 positions in high school in football, but he didn't know what position to get into on that last play.
I don't want to hang it all on Mercury.
Right.
There was a lot of miscommunication there. The play got in, was being shouted in from the sideline, and I think it's a good timeout. The crowd didn't like it, but hey, you're down here on the 5-yard line. They got to come away and at least have a good chance for a touchdown.
You've already taken it 75 yards. It's the next 5 that are big. 3rd and goal, Michigan at the Spartan 5.
Remersma had the line back now.
Smith in motion. Collins looks that way, fades it out to Wheatley. Touchdown, Michigan. And for Tyrone Wheatley, the 44th of a brilliant career here in Ann Arbor.
Michigan State gambled with the safety blitz. That's probably the safety that had Ty Wheatley on the play. Sherrell's number 2 came into the backfield. Hot receiver to Wheatley and just tossed it out there for an easy touchdown. Good, well-designed play. And Jay Remersma is back holding on this play. He did not hold last week when Brian Vesey and Remy Hamilton missed his only extra point of the year.
9-6 Michigan trying to make it 10-6, and Hamilton does. An 80-yard march for the Wolverines, and that guy who entered the season as one of the Heisman Trophy favorites, only to have an injury wipe out part of the early part of his year, is back, and he shows it here, Gary.
I've circled Sherrell. He's the guy that's going to put the pressure on right there. But watch Ty Wheatley just go the opposite way. They've got a free guy coming in. Good hand by Rod Payne. That might have saved the touchdown right there. Just getting a hand on him at the last second. But you could see they had a defensive tackle that time aside to Ty Wheatley. Number 75, Aaron Jackson, is the guy that really had Wheatley on one of those spy techniques by your nose tackle. It's a well-designed blitz, but Michigan had the right play on at the right time.
You better be spying pretty close if you're going to stay with number 6.
Yeah, you asked me to spy. If they run a race, Jackson has to leave yesterday.
5-yard touchdown catch for Wheatley. Caps the 80-yard march. And they mixed it up well. 3 runs, 4 passes. And of course, Biakabatuka right there on the left. Tamunga is the guy that got him close. And then Ty makes it pay off. Hamilton to kick. And Derek Mason back for Michigan State. Now trailing 10-6. Seesaw the lead here in the first half. Mason comes up on it at the 12-yard line on the run on a short kick. He didn't get it very far, only to the 25-yard line. John Agnus Charles made the stop on the special teams. So now let's see how the Spartans respond. They've had some big plays on offense today, although their running game has not gotten in gear like it was last week.
No, absolutely. The running game has been nothing so far. Tony Banks has made some plays on his own. I think the key for Michigan State in this drive is to keep the ball for a while. If they go a 3-and-out right now, I don't think it's really critical that they score on this drive, but a 3-and-out might be a little devastating for their defense to run back on the field after they put points on the board already.
Tony Banks, you see his numbers so far today, approaching 100 throwing already, and week in and week out seems to get a little more comfortable and a little more consistent in the Michigan State offense.
I talked to Morris Watts, their offensive coordinator, this week, and he said that I've been able to add more and more in the game plan as Tony has become more and more comfortable with what he's doing. Looks like Matt Dyson again down on the play. There's Morris Watts to the left of George Perlis. Offensive coordinator, left for a couple years to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has come back, and George feels he has the two best coordinators he's ever had here at Michigan State, Morris Watts and Henry Bullock.
First down, play action. Off the roll, out to Green, the fullback. They like that play, and that's some 6 yards. Scott Green. Talking about the defensive line of Michigan with more on that. Adrian.
Right, I was also talking about some of the pressure being felt by the coaches down here on the field. Some of that pressure being felt, as you say, by the defensive line for Michigan. You know, one of the criticisms this year has been that the guys up front aren't making the plays. It's the linebackers with the production. You got to remember something. These guys are responsible for 2 gaps, not only right across the line, the man head up, but the gap inside and outside. Defensive line coach Greg Madison, not the type of guy to allow his guys to be sacrificial lambs, as you can see right there. They're still expected to make a large amount of the plays. It's just it's a team defense, more of a pro style.
Well, Jason Horn played the right gap that time, and no gain on the play. It'll be 3rd down and about 4.
Matt Dyson's back in the game. He does not appear to be 100%, but he does appear to be a pretty good salesman. This time he talked his coach back in, and I think that if they saw that replay, he'd be out, and maybe they got a replay in the booth.
3rd down and 4. Banks waits too long. And he pays the price. Trevor Price, that is.
Good coverage in the secondary that time. Again, he was trying to throw the ball downfield, and there was just no one to throw to. A tough 3-and-out for that offense now. That's going to put tough pressure on him. Tony Banks reading the play to his left to see if he had a hot, and inside, I believe he's trying to get the ball to one of his downfield receivers on the hook, and he was covered.
Shalali to punt. High kick. Toomer's going to have to fair catch it, and does at the 42-yard line. 35-yard kick, but excellent field position now. In a game of field position, as Gary talked about earlier, this time it swings in the Wolverines' favor. 9 minutes and a second left in the half here, and week 6 of the NFL coming up. Game day and prime time coming your way tomorrow. Chris Berman and the gang at noon Eastern for ESPN's award-winning NFL Game Day. Then at 7 o'clock, complete highlights and analysis of every game on NFL Prime Time. Then check out NFL Prime Monday. Every Monday throughout the season, Theismann, Sims, Jaworski, and the rest of the gang get you really ready for some football right up to game time. That's all on ESPN. Well, right here, we've got Michigan. Collins set to throw off play action and getting a hand on it. Somehow was Matt Christensen.
Nice play action fake by Todd Collins that time. In fact, so much of a fake that Ty Wheatley was hit pretty hard after he faked the ball. And that's really what you want to do on a play action pass, is fake well enough, especially when you have a full line play action. You see Hammond coming from the left side that time. He says, I'm going to just posit Wheatley over here and go look for the football.
Might as well. He's hit everything else in sight today.
Hey, he's had a great game so far. Michigan, the last drive, threw the ball 4 times out of 7 plays. I think that passing game is going to try to open up the running game.
Under 9 minutes in the half. Pressure coming on Collins. He lets it go too high, and it should have been intercepted. Calendar out there. And I guess it was the wrong month. He dropped it.
Yeah, a little pressure, and Collins tried to anticipate the throw. Tuner came back down. Tuner's going to come out here and come right back down the stem. Collins thought he was going to come more into this area right here as he anticipates the throw. It's man-to-man coverage to the outside. He feels the pressure. He says, I'm just going to pick out a spot and avoid the sack. He just throws it a little too far inside, and boy, Calendar almost had a gift.
He had one last week against Wisconsin. Couldn't hold that one, but it does force 3rd down and 10.
You know, you say that's why they're in defense. If they can catch, they can play off.
Right. From the 43-yard line. Collins sets up tall in the pocket and fires. Same spot, different result. 1st down. And a penalty marker, and they have a face mask for a late hit at the end of the play. Callender and Manson back there, but Smith picks up 13.
Well, last time Collins was under a lot of pressure. This time the offensive line did a wonderful job of giving him an opportunity to look to his right and then go all the way to the backside to hit his receiver Smith that time. And when you get that kind of time to throw with a senior quarterback, you're going to play it. You see Reese, this time he's handled by Trezell Jenkins. There's enough time for him to step up into the pocket.
5-yard foul. Penalized from the end of the run. Result of the play is a first down.
You see the backside of the route that time. In comes Amani Toomer. Seth Smith goes out and takes his spot, and the face mask right on the end of the play. Looked like he got him by the shirt at late, but hit him in the face mask early. Good call.
Inside the 40 for Michigan with a 10-6 lead and 8:37 in the clock running first half. Collins looks like he's changing things for Michigan on this first snap. First down. Wants to throw, does, near side, Toomer. Amani Toomer looks like he's got another first down near the 28-yard line, a pickup of 11. Let's find out what Aaron McNair is doing with Mike Tirico.
We give Aaron McNair so much credit, Brad. He has to have some receivers who can make good plays. Kobe Jenkins on this timing route. Good adjustment to the pass. Aaron McNair's 21st touchdown pass of the year. Alcorn by 7.
He's got some receivers. 10-6 Wolverines driving into Spartan territory. The 29-yard line.
Monty Toomer and Richard Hayes think they can get the pass catchers on every play now.
The toss to Wheatley. Spartan stretch it out, but he cuts back and gets about 4 to the 25. Aaron Jackson holds on to make the tackle. Boy, it showed good brakes on Wheatley's part. He was heading for the sideline and then just put on the anti-lock rear brakes and cuts back for 4.
One of the changes the Michigan offensive line, John Runyon has played tackle, but he's going to line up at guard here. Watch him come out and cut Reggie Garnett, who's a very active, fast linebacker. Runyon is 6'8", 299. He's able to run well and get his hat on Garnett. That's why those plays are successful.
Pick up 4 for Wheatley. Michigan State, no rushing yards at all. Wheatley, tough run inside this time. Got it maybe to the 23. Callender and Person in on the tackle. Some other scores. Georgia at home all over the Clemson Tigers. Scores in the Midwest.
The other big interstate game here in Michigan,
right.
Western and Central, Western undefeated.
And a 3rd down and 4 coming up for the Wolverines. Dyson trying to get the gear to make that foot feel better. Today, 4 out of 6, as you saw on 3rd down conversions for the Wolverines. Complete Riemersma, first down, Michigan.
I tell you, Riemersma is such a valuable football player for Todd Collins, a quarterback. That number 16 is the key. Riemersma was a quarterback a year ago. He's big, 6'6", 252, and Riemersma said, you know, I can tell when I'm going to get the ball. I know the reads,
right,
and I know when I'm going to get the ball. You see the offensive line take him on short. Not a blitz this time, but enough time for Todd Collins to find his big tight end, and that's valuable. When you have a tight end that can pressure up and go against Manson that way and just get far enough for the first down, you can move the ball.
And they do move it down to a first down, the 17-yard line. 8th play of the drive. Wheatley maybe to the 15. Cut back around Reggie Garnett.
Todd Collins has been so good at giving those hand signals to the wide receivers, but you will notice throughout the game that he fakes the hand signals a lot. He just can't do that when he's going to throw out there. The reason he does that, a lot of times receivers can't hear the audible from that far removed away from the ball, so they have specific hand signals to tell them what route they're running. And he also has to do it on running plays, or everybody's going to obviously know when they pass the ball.
Cooper hustles in to take Riemersma's spot at tight end on a 2nd down and 8. Diakabatuka now the tailback in the eye. And Samunga gets the call, and he's down to the 10, but a flag down from the far side. He's short of the first down anyway, but a penalty marker down. thrown from the sideline. Was there motion at the snap? Nope, offside, Michigan State. Somebody in the neutral zone.
Someone lined up in the neutral zone. Yep, just leaning forward that time, just before the snap. Chris Smith gets in there, and 5-yard penalty, which I assume they will take to keep the second down.
Second, and the gain is virtually identical to what it would have been anyway.
Well, I think Michigan State really needs to stop. They would love to go into halftime.
Offside.
13-6.
Defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat second down.
Gary Moeller told us the key to this football game is turnovers. So far, his team has not had a turnover. They've been successful moving the football.
The third penalty against Michigan State, all have come against the defense, and that one cost them a free 5, and it puts Michigan in a second down and 3 situation at the 10-yard line. 5 minutes left in the half. As of right now, 10-6 Wolverines lead.
I think we'll see 2 runs here.
Yakabatuka behind Foster, and here he comes. And he's going to have to come up with another run. You're right. Martin came in from the secondary to help on the stop. Boston College trying to pull it. The back-to-back upsets and leading at halftime over the Fighting Irish.
Well, you know, they didn't pick up as much as I really thought here. And now you get into a situation where you've got a lot more confidence in your senior quarterbacks than maybe in your ability to run at this time. 4 minutes left in the half, and if I have a senior quarterback that I like and know can throw the ball, you might see him put it up again.
Well, they loaded up with tight ends to give you the look that they don't have that plan. Vanderleest, Cooper, and Remersma all in there at tight end. 3rd down and almost 2. Yakabatuka, I don't think he got it. Nice job defensively.
Well, maybe his idea is that he was going to go for it on 4th down, but I'll tell you, I think you got to kick the field goal here and make it a 7-point game. One more stop, and for Michigan State to come out of here with a stop in a 10-6 game, they go in sky high.
Well, the lineup stays the same. Here comes the field goal unit. Gary Moeller sends it in with a little bit of disgust in that motion.
I tell you can't make the fans happy no matter what you do, so you just got to coach the game, put the earphones on, talk to your people upstairs. But I'm really surprised in that 3rd down call we didn't get the ball put in the air. They've had so much success throwing the ball in this game.
Hamilton, 38's already been good. Kind of a tough angle, 26 here. High snap, handled well and drilled through. No problem for the special teams for the Wolverines, who've tacked 3 more on. And as Gary said, they've made it a touchdown game. With 3:14 left in the half, they lead by 7. Will blow onto the field, the Canes and the Noles. That is a good one tonight, as Florida State, ranked 3rd, meets 13th ranked Miami. That's at 7:30 tonight here on ESPN. Here in Ann Arbor, Michigan calls up another field goal by Hamilton to take a 7-point lead with 3:14 left in the half. 48-yard drive in 11 plays. And as Gary said, you can't make everybody happy, but the field goal did lengthen the Wolverine lead.
Yeah, I think Michigan State's happy though. 3 and out by their offense, and they held them to a field goal.
You bet. Behind Derek Mason from the end zone, awaiting Hamilton's kick. Derek will get a crack at it from the 3-yard line. The wall in front of him collapsed in a hurry, and he got only the 20, maybe the 21. Let's shoot it out to Mike Tirico. Mike.
And we'll shoot it right back up to the Dome in Syracuse, where the 2 tailbacks had 100 yards last week. Today it's the quarterback, Kevin Mason, over 100 yards, and this touchdown in the first half. Syracuse looking to go 5-1 on 17.
You can hear that little bit of extra something in his voice there. His Orangemen ranked now, and with a big lead at halftime.
Michigan State's offense really has to be in charge now. They only have 1 yard rush in this football game. They have to start running the ball successfully. They're in deep trouble.
We're going to try it here with Goldberg. And they got a yard. That's it. Ty Law came from the corner. Trent Zenkowitz from his defensive tackle spot. They combine on the hit.
Well, I'll tell you, Michigan State has well, they have all senior line except for Bob Denton, who's a junior. All have played in this game last year when they manhandled the Michigan team. And today, the Michigan front seven is manhandling the Michigan State offensive line. There's no room to run. Now, if I'm Morris Watts right here, I'm going to play it a little conservative. There's 2.5 minutes. I'd rather go in and regroup. They cannot afford a turnover late in the half right here and really have Michigan come out jumping.
2nd down and 9, Michigan State. Coleman in motion toward the ball. Nice play fake by Banks, and wants it deep for Mill Coleman. He's out there, and he can't quite get to it. A little bit of bumping going on back there with Clarence Thompson, but no flag.
Clarence Thompson did a beautiful job that time of reading his keys. The offensive lineman stood up. He read it was a play-action pass and went to his deep zone. You'll see the offensive lineman. That's who you read. Their heads come up. If you're a good safety, you don't watch the ball fake. You watch the heads of the offensive lineman. And the safety read that well, took the out route away. He knew he had help inside with Winters and made it a tough throw.
Lloyd Carr, the defensive coordinator of the Wolverines, said Thompson every week just keeps getting better. 3rd down and 9. A little over 2 minutes in the half. Banks rolls. He's dangerous when he does this. Throws back and in and out of the hands of Goldberg. Ball free. Michigan says they have it. Nope. Incomplete. Tony Henderson almost had one on the bottom of the pile.
Well, that might have been the best incompletion Tony Banks has ever thrown.
That's right.
Because if he gets that one picked off, the game is going to change very quickly. You'll see him scramble again. Michigan State's offense has really done nothing but a quick out that was busted tackle. Watch him throw the ball against the grain. It was a good throw, but I'll tell you, Spartan Hearts that time. Tyrone Noble is the guy who was on coverage, the nickelback.
2nd straight 3 and out. Solani gets a nice punt. Toomer backs up. Armani drifts all the way to the 25 with his back pedal, and he might back pedal further. Great job. Muhammad down on the special teams to make the hit. 54-yard punt. Toomer went 2 yards in the wrong direction again. Armani had a 6-yard loss earlier.
Well, you got to allow your great players to make great plays. Sometimes they don't always work out. That one didn't.
We're just about 2 minutes away from halftime, and coming up, the Domino's Pizza halftime report with Mike Tirico. Scores and highlights and analysis from around college football. Taking a look at that BC halftime lead over Notre Dame, trying to pull another stunner. We'll have a live report from Chris Nagang from the Orange Bowl, and Air McNair with at least 2 touchdown passes we know of today for Alcorn State. So the halftime report, 1:56 from now.
Michigan has plenty of time. 1:56. Remember, though, they have no timeout.
Exactly. Used all of those earlier. 2 of them on one drive trying to get a touchdown, which they did. Here's Tyrone Wheatley. I think he is a little faster, Gary. After the 48-yard line. 1st down and almost 25 for Wheatley, who rumbles out 24 yards.
Robert Sherrill this time is down on the field, but you see Wheatley, he saw a crack that time, and that's what they're encouraging Ty Wheatley to do. Hit the hole running full speed with his shoulders facing the goal line. Counter tray action. He comes behind Trezell Jenkins, and John Runyon sees the crack, and he's into the secondary that time. Sherrill, I think, falls on his shoulder or something, but he was not going to stop Ty Wheatley from the angle he took. He just misjudged the speed of Wheatley.
Tyrone almost twice as many yards today as he had all of last year. And remember, as we told you in the top of the broadcast, the team that ends up with the most rushing yards wins the war the last 25 years. And, oh, man, is it one-sided today or what?
Well, they're ahead by 125.
Wheatley already was 64 on 11 carries. And now your concern goes to Robert Sherrill, the junior safety out of Cincinnati, who just now is starting to sit up.
It has not been, I don't believe, the Michigan State rush defense that's been the problem in this game. You know, Michigan, you knew, was going to be able to throw the ball effectively. The Michigan State offense is the problem in this football game, and the biggest mismatch on the field right now. They have 2 straight 3 and outs, and you're not going to be able to put any defense out there against Michigan and keep stopping them without being able to control the ball.
I was going to say, it's not the Spartan rush defense, it's the Spartan rush offense that's struggling.
No doubt about it. You've got to give the credit to the front 7 from Michigan. They are stopping the run cold for Michigan State.
Now a 3 wide receiver group for Collins. Still is 1:38. You see the clock in the corner winding down. A 13-6 Michigan lead. Trying to add to it before the break. Collins steps up, fires in the middle, and Hayes has it at the 38-yard line. Another 1st down, a pickup of 14. Collins is pretty cool back there, Garrett.
Oh, well, he's got room to step up, and that's the key. They pushed that pocket and that pass rush around him. He was able to step up, get his momentum facing his square end, throw the crossing route. Not a bad play. Collins 9 for 12 for 94 yards, in control.
Gone well over 100 passes without throwing an interception. Here is Wheatley. Made something out of nothing, got 3 to the 35. But now the clock is starting to become a factor. You see it wind near the 1-minute mark.
But Ty Wheatley shouldn't be picking up people right now. I mean, that's good sportsmanship. But right now we're in the 2-minute drill. He is going to line up and find out what the play is.
At the 35. Second down, 7. Trying to bring some pressure on Collins. There is none. Remersma's got it, and he's out of bounds with another Michigan first down. And it's inside the 25-yard line. Remersma, who suffered a deep thigh bruise in the game last week. You got to love coaches. Gary Moeller said he's got a Charlie horse or something.
Yeah,
it's just a cramp. He'll play.
Well, you can coach with a deep thigh bruise, but it's a little tougher to play and run with one. I'll bet you Gary Moeller is hoarse after these games.
He's hoarse before the game.
That's from last week.
Just outside the 23-yard line, 43 seconds left in the half. First and 10, Michigan. Outside the Spartan 23. Collins scans the field, comes back to Toomer inside the 10. Amani Toomer to the 2. First and goal, 21 yards on the pass play.
The Michigan State linebackers are not playing the pass very well. They were just standing there, only dropped about 6 or 8 yards that time. An easy pitch and throw that time. You can see the confusion by the linebackers. Those are the guys that have to make the plays when you're playing zone defense, and they were nowhere to be found.
Collins has hit his last 6 passes and has them down to a first and goal, but only 25 seconds left.
Mercury Hayes.
The fade for Hayes. Not quite. Laid out for it and ran out of real estate. Did he actually catch that ball?
Yeah, he caught it. He was in the white that time, but you can see he has the option. That's why Todd Collins threw that ball wide. He had to wait to see which way Hayes would go on the play. Hayes gave him about 17 fakes, and then there wasn't enough room.
Do you have to throw every time now down here, Garrett, with 20 seconds left?
Oh, I think so, because if you get stopped at one time, you might not get another play off, or if you do, it's going to be a rush.
Wow, you talk about a great catch, even though it was out of bounds. Wow.
I think his knees looked like he came in on that one. That's pretty close to being a catch on that play.
His knees were in, but his body and the football were so far out the white. It's no good, and it's second down and goal at the 2.
Looks like they are going to run.
Big risk if Wheatley doesn't get in, but he will easily. Touchdown, Michigan.
Well, I'll tell you, he started slowing down and hot dogging it into the end zone that time, and Sherrell's almost stripped that ball from the backside. That would have been a disaster.
Pretty good 2-minute drill for the Wolverines. Touchdown. And Ty Wheatley from 2 yards out makes it career touchdown number 45.
Watch, he thinks he's got this thing as a walk-in. Sherrell's number 2 is going to come from the backside. And he was just barely across that line. He almost gave him a Leon Lett.
I guess when you're that good, you know when you can take it off, take your foot off the pedal.
Well, you think you know.
Hamilton to try to make it 20-6. A huge touchdown just before halftime here in Ann Arbor. And a penalty marker going to have roughing the kicker on that play as Demetrius Martin laid out trying to block the extra point and took Hamilton with him. "14 seconds left in the half. We still got a play or two before intermission."
A hologram captures all the information about light. You can see different things from different angles. That's the 3D effect. Help me, Obi-Wan. DuPont makes film that makes holography possible. Everything you can imagine doing with a hologram is sort of fun. In the future, holography could be used in book illustrations that pop to life. Heads-up displays is a way for motorists to save their eyes from fatigue. That kind of everyday problem is really what we do at DuPont. I've never thought anything was impossible.
You ready?
Yep.
What's this? We're playing on clay.
Right back.
It's mixed doubles.
Oh.
Outdoor court.
Is activewear becoming too specialized for you? Try Discus Athletic. Heavyweight sweats and tees. Just change your clothes once.
Extra point by Remy Hamilton, as you see from Riemersma's vantage point at the hold. Got underneath the kicker, and the penalty marker flies in after a 76-yard drive in 7 plays. Tyrone Wheatley from 2 yards out with no timeouts left. A huge touchdown for the Michigan Wolverines on their home turf, and now they get to kick off from midfield. 17 unanswered Michigan points. Has them in command right now.
And that has followed 3 straight drives of Michigan State going 3 and out. And that's really I'm sorry, 2 straight drives of going 3 and out. Might see Michigan even onside kick here. Could be. Hamilton is going to dribble it down on the ground. Make somebody make a play on it. One of the up man has to grab it. And Marvin Wright, a linebacker, carries it up to about the 20 with 8 seconds left in the half. Well, I can guarantee you none of the fans are going to be leaving their seats.
Just in case Cordell Stewart's in the building, huh?
Cordell Stewart shows up, throws this ball 85 yards. It is downwind, so I guess it's within range.
Yeah, we're down to 1 play, maybe 2. And it'll be Mike Tirico coming at you for a halftime.
There you go. Nobody getting a hot dog yet. No, I'm going to see it. If it
Nobody's moved. 106,272 still glued to their seats for the last 8 seconds of the half.
They're going to see a running play.
Now they're all heading for the exits as Goulburn got about 4. And that's more rushing yardage than Michigan State seemingly has had the entire half. The Maize and Blue have got to be happy. At halftime, they've got a 20-6 lead here in Ann Arbor as we send it to our partner, Mike Tirico. Mike, deep with Seth Smith awaiting Brad Costello's kick, and we're underway 3rd quarter in Ann Arbor. Smith is going to backpedal and be forced right out the back of the end zone for the touchback, and Michigan will have to work from the 20-yard line. So Todd Collins, effective in the first half. He had a lot of time to work, and that certainly helped his cause back there in the pocket.
Well, you know, Brad, we've seen some highlights of Zaire and Alcorn's Steve McNair. But if Colorado doesn't complete that prayer at the end of that game, Todd Collins might be in the middle of this Heisman record right now, because the way he is running this offense for Michigan right now, you would have to consider this guy as good as anyone who's playing quarterback in the league.
Saw his numbers, 127, a touchdown. But the long string without an interception now, which has reached 109 passes. Ty Wheatley on the toss. First play of the 3rd quarter, and Wheatley's got 9. Callender and Sherrills made the hit.
I'll tell you, Trezell Jenkins that time, number 77, the right side of the screen, the left tackle for Michigan, just drives his man right to his knees. When you get your outside tackle being able to reach out and hook the man, you know, I mean, it doesn't take Ty Wheatley's speed to be successful. Trezell Jenkins with an outstanding block.
That helped Wheatley pick up 9. He's got 78 on the day now rushing. 2nd down, a yard. Collins on 2nd and short, wanted to fire it out to Toomer, and Amani Toomer on his break slipped and fell, incomplete.
I don't think Michigan State has had any success at all playing zone defense against the Michigan passing game. The linebackers are just not adept at dropping in the zones and taking away. But in this type of a game, I think that Henry Bulla, you can see Amani Toomer at the bottom of the screen, is going to run a comeback to the outside and just fall down. I think Michigan State would be better off just trying to pressure Collins with the blitz on every play and say, let's play man-to-man defense, because the zone has not been effective for him.
Michigan State obviously would love to stop a 3rd and 1 here to open the 3rd quarter and get the football back. But Michigan's been very effective in their 3rd down conversions today. On 3rd and 1, it's Wheatley, and it's not only a yard, it's a big game. And he's still on his feet to midfield. Ran over Manson, the last man, who seemingly had a hold on him about 6 yards earlier.
John Runyon, the guard on this play, does a great job. His job is to block the linebacker, but there's no room to get through, so he'll step to the outside and find the crack. The crack is right back where he was, fits in there, on the middle linebacker, Garnett, that is great run blocking by the guard. It's called a horn technique. We've seen a lot of teams use it. Colorado ran it successfully. You come off the line as a guard and you find the opening as the play goes.
Biakabatuka in motion out of the Michigan backfield on first down from midfield. This time they will fire outside, and it's incomplete, intended for Hayes. Demetrius Martin is the guy that was out there covering, and they're working on Ty Wheatley's left thumb. It looks like he's got his 17th career 100-yard game already.
I think what you like best about the Michigan attack now with Biakabatuka coming into the football game, when you give Wheatley a blow in the game and get him on the bench for some rest, you've got a guy in there that's just as dangerous as Wheatley.
2nd and 10 from midfield. Just underway, third quarter, 20-6 Michigan. Biakabatuka on the counter. A nice stop out there. This time it's Martin again who's in on the play. Remember, he was called for the roughing the kicker penalty in the first half. Has made a couple of hits here. And it brings up 3rd down and long. 3rd about 7.
Well, if Michigan State has any hope of climbing back in this football game, they really have to pitch a shutout.
They lose footballs today. Michigan hasn't put it on the ground. 3rd down. And long. Collins stands in wide open as Hayes over the middle. Mercury Hayes inside the 25 to the 24. Crossing pattern again, pays off for 24 yards.
Boy, I tell you, like to play corner in college football, you don't often face this type of skill to the outside. It's a lot different than what they faced last week against Wisconsin. Mercury Hayes, man-to-man coverage, beats this guy by 9 yards. I mean, that's, you know, that's a lot. Todd Collins, give him credit, but Mercury Hayes get open like that, you have to wonder.
Junior out of Houston with a 24-yard pickup, first down at the 24. Wheatley back in there behind Foster, who'll lead the way on the sweep. And Wheatley's got 5 more to the 19-yard line. Let's go to Adrian Karsten.
Right, I was in the Michigan State locker room at halftime. Now, we all know Coach George Perles, the old-style Big Ten, 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of a coach, but they're not playing his kind of football, and he rather vehemently reminded both his offensive and defensive troops of that. He says, look, guys, we had a great week of practice. What happened between last week Wisconsin and here in Michigan? So you got a few more people. Buckle up, get nose to nose and toes to toes, and let's get after it in the second half here and start playing state kind of football.
He calls it country-style football. That's what he likes to call it. That's what happened last week against Wisconsin. Different story today. Tyrone Wheatley just came off again with his arm dangling. That wrist or thumb or something is giving him all kinds of trouble, unless it's his shoulder. And of course, he had the shoulder separation. This time, maybe it isn't the thumb, it's the shoulder, I think, Gary.
Boy, that would be a real tough injury for Ty Wheatley, especially. You're going to get a lot of pro scouts also thinking, is this guy injury prone?
1st and 17 after the penalty. Michigan State may have jumped offside. Biakabatuka scoots through inside the 25 before Manson makes the tackle. Tyrone Wheatley on the sideline again, and it appeared that it was favoring his right shoulder, not the thumb that he was holding earlier.
Looks like he caught a shoulder pad right on his arm on that play, and I don't know if it was below his shoulder pads, but Ty Wheatley is definitely not just sitting on the bench to get his wind back. He's hurt.
172 in 92, then held to 33 on 11 carries, the lowest production he's ever had with 10 carries or more in a game. That was last year. Today, 103 yards, a touchdown rushing and 1 receiving. But now some question again about what hurts on Tyrone Wheatley. Meanwhile, on the field, it's going to be the 26-yard line.
Brad, just tagging what Adrian said in the locker room, you know, this is a different offense than what they faced from Wisconsin. They got more weapons at the wideouts, and, you know, stopping the run is one thing, but stopping this potent pass attack is another.
On the offside, it's 1st and 12. What a strange number. Biakabatuka. Hammond's draped all over him. Ball comes out, but he's blown dead at the 21. Has Juan Hammonds covered some ground today for a lineman or what?
He is really playing a football game and giving it all. He's just been defeating his man up front. Gines has not been able to handle him, and see Biakabatuka come off the field, and
they're down to Davis now in the backfield.
Ed Davis and maybe a couple of the freshmen. Floyd, a kid they're really high on. And you see Hammonds try to go for the turnover from behind, which is something that the Michigan State coaches really teach.
Tamunga Biakabatuka limped off Ty Wheatley favoring something in the shoulder area, and now that enters Ed Davis, this junior out of Detroit. Comes in on a 2nd down 7 situation. Michigan State may have jumped offside again. Davis bounces off the first man, and he's got about 2 to the 19. Reggie Garnett put a helmet on him.
Well, Michigan State now has to make a decision on how they're going to play pass coverage here on 3rd down. I don't think they feel confident they can match up man-to-man with those receivers, but the zone has not done anything for them. Todd Collins just picking them apart. So I think the only way, the only chance is for them to outrush Michigan, meaning bring one more guy than Michigan can block. Todd Collins can't throw the ball and block at the same time. They need to bring the whole team.
It's a 3rd down and 6. And Hank Buller's defense will face. Todd Collins will face. 10th play of the Michigan drive. They lead by 14 with 10:25 left 3rd quarter. Seth Smith in motion. Collins is looking left, goes that way to Smith, and he's dropped before he can get to the 1st down marker, about 2 yards shy. Nice open field tackle, Demetrius Martin. He's had some big defensive plays this series.
Yeah, the ball was thrown clear across the field, so it took so long to get there. To beat Ryder, you'll see this is a pick play. Both wide receivers are trying to pick Martin that time. He gets to the outside, but the ball floated a little bit and allowed him to cut in there and make the play. I think this is a great call by Gary Muller right here to get the field goal to make it 23-6, and that takes the 2-point plays out of the game.
This will be a 33-yard attempt, perfect today, 38 and 26.
Snapper is Mark Poldosh.
Ron Winter, the referee.
Please reset the clock to 9:51 and reset the 25-second clock.
Yakabatuka and Wheatley both shaken up on this past series, which is about ready to end in a field goal attempt, putting 7 seconds back on the clock. Reamersman did a nice job. They were running out of time, and he said, hey, wait a minute, it's not right. He stood up and pointed, and the officials agreed, and so the time goes back on, giving him a little more chance to get crouched in front of Remy Hamilton. 33-yard field goal attempt. From the left hash. Right through the middle again. Hamilton perfect, 3 for 3. And with 9 minutes, 35 seconds remaining 3rd quarter, Michigan tacks 3 more to their lead. They're up 23-6.
ESPN's presentation of Big Ten college football is brought to you by Saab and your local Saab dealers, who invite you to test drive the Saab 900 and new 900 Turbo Coupe and Convertible.
Another 3 for Michigan on Hamilton's field goal. Caps a 64-yard drive. 23-6 the Wolverines. Tyrone Wheatley being retaped on that shoulder that was separated in the preseason. We'll get an injury update on Wheatley from Adrian Karsten after the kick. A yard deep. Mason slips. Almost went down. Finds his footing and then finds a whole bunch of maize and blue at the 15-yard line. Adrian, what do you got on Wheatley?
We're at a very tense moment here just for a moment a short time ago. The bruise to the right shoulder of Wheatley, definitely not a separation. Now, interesting situation. For the past 2 weeks, they've had a custom-made pad that they're applying right now with adhesive tape, ready to go on him if necessary. That's what they're applying right now. Also reinforcing the shoulder pad itself. He'll be back in the game. Yakabatuka just shaken up. He's fine.
So number 6 set to put the pads back on. Worst starting field position of the day for the Spartans, and maybe one of their toughest runs. From the 16 out to the 21 goes Goulburn. And it brings up 2nd down and 5. The Spartan rushing game, not much to speak of at all today after an excellent performance last week against Michigan.
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
Yeah, the only 2 plays really Michigan State has had in this football game was a quick hitch to the outside that forced a missed tackle, and then a scramble by Banks when he hit the receiver over the middle of the field. Otherwise, Michigan State has not moved the ball. Nothing.
10 yards on the ground is all. They'll try it again. Patrick this time. Maybe a yard. That's about it. Irons came in from his linebacker spot to help on the tackle.
I'm really impressed with that front three for Michigan this year. I felt the last couple of years they got a bit soft up front there, and they had real rededication to that stopping the run, and they appear to have a front three that people who follow Michigan football can remember from the past when they used to pitch some shutouts around here.
It's a huge third down at 3 for Michigan State. They're to get back in the game. And Banks under some pressure, and down he goes. Jason Horn. 4th time they found the quarterback today, and in fact Banks is not up yet. And Banks comes up hobbling.
Jason Horn coming from the left side. He's going to beat Cronin, number 66. Actually was Shane Hanna, number 63, and Hanna just does not move his feet, and you can see the quickness of that Michigan line. They're just overpowering that offensive line for Michigan State. You see Banks on the sideline favoring his leg. Solani's punt fielded by Toomer at the 42. He's given a lot of ground today, trying to get some back, and he does here. Breaks the tackle and gets across the 45 out to about the 47-yard line. And some frustrated Michigan State players now as flags begin to fly in at the end of that punt return. Here we go. Getting a little chippy with 7:39 left, 3rd quarter. Going to be great field position again if this isn't against Michigan, and you assume it's going to go against the Spartans. Well, it's hard not to get great field position for Michigan when they, again, do a 3-and-out. Oh, it's going to go against Michigan. Personal foul against the Wolverines, so that will negate what would have been the 47-yard line. And back it up inside the 15. There's Banks on the sideline. You see him hobbling after being sacked by Horn. And you wonder about Michigan State. Would they go to Mill Coleman at quarterback if Banks can't answer the call? They can't do any worse. 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out. 3 times.
Personal foul on a return team. 1st down.
Yeah, Jason Horn just got rolled up, I think, on this play. Twisted his right ankle as he spun around by Jason Horn. Great pass rush, and you know, Zankowitz and Henderson and Jason Horn has just really taken over this game. We really haven't called out Morrison and Irons' name that much in this football game. They've been stopped by the guys up front.
Banks going to try to get it warmed up. Michigan, meanwhile, with a 23-6 lead, and the coach has joined us up in the booth. Bo Schembechler comes up. Nice to have you with us, Coach.
Well, thank you, Brad. It's been a good football game. Michigan's defense, I think, has been the difference. And except for those 2 bad plays, I would expect, Jerry, that Lloyd Carr, defensive coordinator, like take that blitz back.
Yeah, that could be. That's about the only big play of the day.
That's the only big play they had.
Penalty marker down on the 1st down snap from the 32.
Well, I think the balance for
dead ball.
We got to move the coach over. We're going to get you.
We're going to move the coach over.
Why you want
to get you on TV?
There you are.
Oh, here I am. Yeah.
You told me before the game you get a little nervous for these.
Hey, Michigan State is big. This is a really big game. First year I coached here, I lost the game, and I never thought they'd ever let me live it down.
Davis, the 3rd tailback, out to midfield. 1st down, Michigan. Nice to have that kind of depth. 13-yard pickup.
Coach, that was one of the things we were talking about yesterday when you were coaching with a lot more scholarships. You had a lot more guys to put on the field than now. That's a big difference from Michigan football when you coach till now.
I think the difference is that a team can you can have a great football team, and all of a sudden you got an average one because you've had several key injuries. We just don't have enough depth in the squads. 85 grand seems like a lot, but you and I know, Gary, you get a few guys hurt. And
it's funny how we used to get more guys hurt playing against you than you got playing against us.
Davis trying to cut back, and this time stopped for no gain. Michigan State said the ball came loose. No indication.
Bo, I've often wondered, you know, if you got back into college coaching, would you have a re-emphasis more on the passing game? Has the game changed any, in your opinion? Because it seems like more teams are throwing the ball now than they did in the 60s and 70s.
Well, I think any time they bring the 8th man into the defense, you have to throw. You got to have a check system at the line. If they're going to stop your run, then you have to throw the ball. We ran the ball probably some when they had 8 in the box. Our basis of our passing, we beat some teams really on play-action passing, so they overplayed the run.
2nd and 10 from midfield. Collins set to throw, hit as he throws. Intended for Biakabatuka out of the backfield. Incomplete. Yakini Allen got some pressure. And that is one of the first times all day that the Spartans have gotten a hit on Collins.
Yeah, Yakini Allen comes into the backfield, but he does it from the 4-man line. He did not line up at linebacker that time. You see the offensive line trying to push him out, but got there just a bit late that time as Joe Marinaro just could not get his feet moving fast as Allen was coming in.
Wheatley was in for that snap, so he came back in after being retaped. There's Tyrone. Now 3 wideouts in the group. Smith joins Hayes and Toomer out of 3rd and 10. There's what Michigan's done on the day. On their 3rd down conversions, drastic improvement over their seasonal average. Collins, quick drop, wants to throw to Toomer, and got him. Amani Toomer to the 32-yard line, and maybe a touchdown-saving tackle made by Robert Sherrills, or he could have been off to the races. As it was, he got 19 yards.
I'll tell you, Todd Collins showed the touch there.
That was a great quarterback play.
He really did. He made the play there because when he was ready to throw the ball, Amani Toomer was not ready to catch it. So he had to lob it to a spot. And look at that touch. He put it in a spot where Toomer could get it just outside the hand. And you know, Bo, what surprised me about Amani Toomer, he's a much stronger physical football player than he appears.
He's a big, strong kid. He can run out of tackles, and he's got great speed.
First down just outside the 31 of Michigan State. Wolverines trying to add to a 17-point lead. Collins waits till the last second. Got it to his tight end, Riemersma, for about 7 yards. And he took a shot, paid the price for completing that pass. Coach, if he has a great season, maybe he can catch Gerbach's all-time passing mark for Michigan. But tell us what you think of Todd Collins. This kid, you had some good quarterbacks along the way, but he's a good one.
This kid has really come on, and 3 years ago, I said, you know, at one time, I thought maybe he was out playing Gerbach in practice and should be in there, but I'll tell you, he's a great quarterback today, and I think his passing, and I think Gary will agree with me, has been the thing that has kept the Michigan State team up down.
No doubt about it. Wisconsin only was very one-dimensional last week when they lost Darrell Bevel, and Michigan State and Henry Bullitt was able to zero in on that running game, and now they're completely off balance with the passing game, and the running game is again working.
You play good teams, and you can almost rest assured that you cannot just line up and run the ball on, because they can.
Dead ball. Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Second offside in the series for Michigan State, and this one will move the Sticks down to the 21-yard line. 5:29 left, 3rd quarter, and it's 23-6 Michigan, putting a licking on the Spartans right now. Michigan State 7 penalties, 6 of them on their defense. Biakabatuka finds an opening off the left side, and Tumunga's down very close to the 10.
Joe Marinaro, who's finally healthy, back in that offensive line, and that's really got these guys solidified right here. He's going to come over and kick out on Ike Reese on the outside on the counter tray. And that's when that counter tray works. You see him come in, he gets his head and shoulder fit in just right, and those are positive plays that Biakabatuka, Wheatley, Ed Davis are probably about 8 other running backs on the Michigan staff.
Bo Schumbacher.
That's right, run through that play.
Just outside the 10. 1st and 10 for Michigan. Hayes, the lone wide receiver. Tyrone Wheatley, touchdown Wolverines. The shoulder's sore, but the legs are working. 11 yards. Touchdown, Michigan. The 46th of his brilliant career. Wow. Every time he gets in the end zone, he just keeps adding to the numbers next to his own name in the record books.
Same play on 2. Counter tray to the left was taken into the end zone.
When you have a defense that jumps around like they do, when you gap down, it's easy to pick up the people that are coming and then bring those 2 men through the hole pulling, and that's been a big play for Michigan.
Yeah, the front side, they take them where they want to go, then you bring your backside guys to hammer them.
Right.
Hamilton's extra point is good. Coach, we're going to thank you.
Well,
go down and have some fun
nice
downstairs.
to be here. Nice to see you, Brad and Gary. Good luck.
You okay, Coach?
Bo Schembechler's seen his Wolverines go up by 24 with 4:48 to go in the 3rd. 3 touchdowns today.
He's been effective, but Todd Collins' play has been impeccable also.
Eric Lavelle will kick off this time. Derek Mason back deep. Nice high kick. Coming up is Mason on the 13 on the run. And Mason found himself an avenue, and the kicker might have to save it here, and does, knocking him out of bounds, not until he gets to the 46-yard line.
Brad, just as Bo was saying, you're going to see Yakini Allen right here. He's going to stunt himself right out of the play. John Runyon's going to come down to try to block him. There's nobody to block, and it's exactly what Bo says. When you play a stunning team, sometimes you're going to look bad, but sometimes you catch them right in the right defense at the right time. This is a walk-in. You just keep running the play and say, sooner or later, I'm going to find it. And that's why a lot of teams are hesitant to run that type of stunning defense.
Michigan State's first 3 drives impressive, but they have been almost shut out completely by the Michigan defense, including this play, which maybe got him 2 yards on the pass out of the backfield. And Irons and Law make the stop for Michigan.
Bo is well relaxed now, Brad.
He's a media star right here now,
he's on the radio. He's got everything going. You know, he's on Sunday nights for 3 hours. You can't shut him up anymore. It's like us, you know.
That's exactly right. We saw him over at the Michigan offices yesterday, and he was in as jovial a mood as Gary Moeller was. As Gary Danielson said, Coach Moeller relaxed coming into this game, and his team is playing like that, as they've done just about everything right. Completion that time to the tight end, Josh Kerr. And that is going to pick up a first down for Michigan State. Minnesota leading Purdue in another Big Ten matchup. Indiana, Iowa tied in the second. First down at the 43.
Bill Coleman has not caught a ball in this football game.
The first down since the final minute of the first quarter for the Spartans. Trying to throw a screen, and Green got it. Weaves around his blockers for the big fullback, and he blasts his way, still on his feet, to the 19-yard line. Boy, there's one he'd like to save and watch again. 24 yards for Green.
I'm sure he has it taped, so he'll be saving it somehow. A little bit of a screen pass. They feeling the pressure this time. Green's going to set up left. Banks and bites the pass rush. Gets all 3 of them to come in. But now, Green, who goes 230 pounds, has got pretty nifty moves for a fullback and great hands, is able to turn into a big play. And, you know, this is really what Michigan State needed earlier in this football game, though. They needed to show that they could loosen up that defense with the passing game, and they weren't able to do it.
Scott had a 3-yard touchdown catch in the win for Michigan State last week. That's the biggest play they've had since early in the game here. First down at the 18. Banks fires out in the flat. It's Green again, wide open. He might have another touchdown catch, and does. 18 yards for the score for the fullback out of the backfield.
Busted assignment from Michigan State that time. Michigan State in man-to-man coverage. No one accounts for the fullback. Have an inside blitz on. It looked like Gerald Irons, number 37, was the guy who had the fullback, kind of got lost in the traffic, and no way Ty Law was going to slow him down.
Chris Gardner's extra point is good, and a touchdown the Spartans desperately needed. They got, but they still trail by 17. The second one took him 18 yards for the score, and Tony Banks on a bad wheel limping around over there, but hanging tough. Capping a scoring drive of 54 yards in 4 plays. Only took him 116, all passing, Gary, and that's something we're going to see more of from Michigan State, I'm sure.
A pretty good, you know, idea in play calling there. If you can't run, you might as well throw. You know, it's like my golf game. If you can't hit the driver, put it in the bag.
I heard you were well over par the last time you played.
We were not too good lately.
Costello's kick. Little indecision taken by Hayes from the goal line. And Mercury Hayes dropped back near the 10. Eccles with a great hit on the special teams. And we go to our special teams man, Mike Tirico. Mike.
All right, Brad, let's swing it up to Boston. Notre Dame trailing BC by 21. 12 minutes left, fourth quarter. Same exact situation as last year. Comeback starting. Randy Kinder, 15-yard score, makes it 24-11 after a 2-point conversion. But Ron Paulus backed up to his goal line by a penalty on the punt. Is intercepted. Eagles lead by 13.
Wow. Here it's been all Michigan. Michigan State's only lead was 6-3, but they just snapped a string of 27 unanswered points by the Wolverines with that last touchdown. And now Michigan starting its worst field position of the day, and see what they do with it. Give it to Wheatley to try to improve it. Tyrone goes out across the 15 to the 16. Christensen hanging on for dear life as we go to Adrian Karsten.
Brad, Matt Dyson, for the moment, has pulled himself out of the game. As a matter of fact, Waldrop, his replacement, was the fellow who should have made that play on the touchdown with the back coming out of the backfield, making that reception and going in for 6. The situation is this now. Michigan State knows the replacement is not as good as Dyson. They don't expect to see him in the game anymore. They're going right after the replacement.
Well, it worked for him last time. Dyson with that foot injury that kept him out of 3 games, trying to fight through it today, and he has struggled with it. 2nd down and 5. Long handoff to Wheatley. Collins had to reach, and Callender knocks Wheatley out of bounds short of the 1st down mark.
This is the first drive in the football game that there's been any pressure on the Michigan offense to produce. Now with Michigan State showing that they can throw the football, the Michigan offense needs to respond and put some points, or at least put a drive together to take some of the wind out of Michigan State's sails.
Third down and 3 from the 19-yard line. Michigan State hoping for a stop here to get the football back. We still have a football game. 2:44 left, 3rd quarter. Wheatley behind Foster, and now in motion from the Wolverine backfield. Collins pump fakes, wants to go long to Hayes, lofts it out, got it. Collins and Hayes both sold that out and up, and it pays off big, 33 yards.
Yeah, it was a stutter play, Brad, and a perfect time to use it when you've got a good quarterback, a senior quarterback, to the outside. Remember, it's 3rd and 5. Receiver comes out, little pump fake. Demetrius Martin's on the outside. He reads that little hitch play, and what Todd Collins does so well right there, you say, oh, he underthrew it, would have been a touchdown. No, you got to get the 1st down. You always underthrow that one when you got a guy wide open. You don't want to toss it over his head and have to punt the ball.
Hayes, 4 catches, 96 yards. 3 of those catches on 3rd down. Here's the toss to Biakabatuka. Tamunga into the secondary is Biakabatuka all the way to the 22-yard line. He is shifty and fast and powerful. 27-yard gain.
Jerry Moeller said, we were so impressed with Biakabatuka. He said, Billy Harris had him at our football camp, the running back coach, and he said, this guy's got some feet. I've never really seen feet like this. Let's give this guy a look. Watch him stutter here, stutter, kick out. Another stutter step. This one on the ground. We saw a stutter move to the outside where the receiver comes down, kind of slows down and goes. Biakabatuka does it with a stutter step on the sweep.
And inside the 22-yard line, 30-17 Michigan with a 1st down. Biakabatuka again. This time shows the power that I was talking about. 9 yards later.
Michigan State was in Michigan was in an illegal formation on the play. They're going to have to bring that one back. They did not have a wide receiver on the line of scrimmage.
So penalty flag will negate what would have been about an 8-yard pickup again for Biakabatuka.
Hey, run, I'm trying to do.
Illegal procedure penalty.
That's exactly what it was. Hayes or Amani Toomer did not line up and cover the tackle on the play.
Illegal procedure. 6 men on the line of scrimmage on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
The reason Todd Collins is so upset on the play is that's part of his job, too. He has to make sure he's got a legal formation out there when he's under the ball.
Like you guys don't have enough to do with that position.
Eventually, he'll be paid well enough for those things.
That's right. At the 25 now. Actually, almost back to the 27, where it's 1st and 15. Both wideouts, Toomer and Hayes to the right. That's Mercury Hayes in motion back the other way. He's had a big day so far. Here's that counter. Biakabatuka. They still can't bring him down. Into the secondary again. He might score. Touchdown. Biakabatuka from 26 yards out
I'll tell you, we've seen Fletcher and Moss do it for a couple of years over at Wisconsin, but now with the emergence of Biakabatuka, there's not a better tandem in college football than Wheatley and Biakabatuka.
His name's a mouthful. As a football player, he is a handful. And so far, Michigan State has not gotten enough hands on him today. Hamilton for the point after. Try to run it to 37-13, and Hamilton does. Biakabatuka's fourth 100-yard game. He just went over the 100-yard mark with this run, Gary.
Luke Bensey right here, the free safety, number 19, was a quarterback a year ago. Right now, he's saying, you know, quarterback wasn't as hard as I thought. When you come facing up man-to-man with a guy like Biakabatuka who can go right or left with speed and then still has the power with that forearm to come out and do a straight arm, that's a good play. Two people had a chance to make the tackle on that play. Both did not come up with anything.
Tamunga Biakabatuka, born in Zaire, moved to Quebec when he was 6 years old. Born in Zaire in '74, the same year that Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman to regain the heavyweight championship in Kinshasa. He might have just knocked out Michigan State with that touchdown run. As you would expect, Michigan Stadium rocking now with a 37-13 Wolverine lead. And remember, there was a 3rd down and 3 there that was huge way back downfield when Collins hooked up with Mercury Hayes. That kept that drive alive, and then they went back to the ground and made it pay. Mason has to really hustle to get to it near the sideline. He's done a nice job his last couple of returns and does again here to the 30-yard line as we go to Mike Tirico. Mike.
Brad, Michigan could be working on a perfect season if it wasn't for the Buffs. A big play that they made a few weeks ago in Ann Arbor. Here's a big play off the deflection of Jeff Handy's pass. Danelle Liamidi, 31 yards. Hard fought, too. Buffs lead by 14, fixing to go in for more. And a great one in the ACC. All even in the 4th quarter. We'll keep a close eye on this one.
Tommy Luganville with 3 touchdowns for the Ramblin' Wreck. 37-13. Spartans now knowing they have to go to the air. They were successful on their last drive. And Banks comes out ready to wing it here. And completes it long to Carter. Isaiah Carter out of bounds. He crossed the 48-yard line. 19-yard pass play. Coming up tonight at 7 o'clock, be sure to join us for the Residents in College Football Scoreboard Show. And that is followed by CFA Primetime, live from the Orange Bowl in Miami. The Hurricanes, their home field streak's been snapped, but they'd love to start a new one against the 3rd-ranked Seminoles. That's 7:30 tonight on ESPN. Goulburn in a quick opener, and the draw works this time because the passing game has started to open up for the Spartans, and Goulburn goes for almost 9 before Price and Morrison bring him down.
That's why, you know, statistically, Michigan's defense is not having a great year, but some of that can be discounted because they've had big leads, especially Colorado. You know, they had a game well in hand, and 2 late drives by Colorado stole that game. But today, I think the most impressive thing about Michigan's team is their defense against a powerful running game for Michigan State.
It shows up here again. First hit made by Henderson and Zenkowitz, and then Morrison cleaned up. That's the way it's supposed to work. Third down coming up for Michigan State. 3rd and a long yard yet to go. We wind down the 3rd quarter. 35 seconds left in the 3rd stanza. Green comes in. Carter goes out. So Green lines up on a wing as an extra tight end on 3rd down and short. And a 1st down run for Mark Renaud, who had a nice game last week against Wisconsin and probably earned himself some more playing time. Picks up about 3. 1st down inside the 40 of Michigan. Michigan leading this series with 56 wins, 25 losses. There have been 5 ties. They're 41-18-3 here in Ann Arbor. They started getting together, goofing around, playing this game in 1898. And we've got 15 minutes left in this long-running series after this snap coming up for the Spartans from the Wolverine 39-yard line. 1st down. Tony Banks. Look out! Ball is loose. Horn trying to get to it, and they do. That's what it'll make you feel like when you're trying to get back in a game and you suffer a turnover. The defense of Michigan, as Gary said just a minute ago, that's maybe been the most impressive thing. Waldrop forces a fumble. Horn recovers, and that's 3 quarters.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I need some shorts to play basketball.
Indoor or outdoor?
Defensive coordinator for Michigan State after suffering the fumble that ended the 3rd quarter and gave the ball back to Michigan. 15 minutes to play with Gary Danielson and Adrian Karsten. Brad Nessler with you from Ann Arbor, where the Wolverines are all over the Spartans right now as we head into the final quarter. Tyrone Wheatley. Wheatley cuts back and down to the 27-yard line.
Let's go back to that sack. Here it is right here. Shane Hanna, Kerwin Waldrop's going to come in here. Watch Hanna take a false step inside. One wrong step, and he's beat. He's beat right now. Waldrop's going to come to the outside. Hanna can't get back there. He wraps around to the outside, causes the fumble recovery. Michigan's got the ball back in great field position.
Wheatley maybe shaking up on that last play again. Now you start wondering if you have to use him anymore with Biakabutuka playing the way he has. They're both well over 100 yards in rushing.
Well, I would keep using him. I think Ty Wheatley has to get in football shape. He has not played enough for this year. He needs to run the ball.
First down at the 27. Here comes the other half of that tailback tandem we're talking about. Biakabutuka to the 22, where number 22 made the stop. Reggie Garnett.
What is this, like a 3-hour show or 3.5-hour show? Mm-hmm. We probably spent 20 minutes just saying Biakabutuka's name.
There it is.
String them all together. Biakabutuka.
A lot of people call him Touchdown Tim because it's a lot easier, and quite frankly, he even prefers Tumunga to Tim. But either way, he is one serious football player that is going to have a great career ahead of him after Ty Wheatley graduates. Already, he's doing a pretty good job for himself today. Here he comes again, and he keeps his footing again, and got to the 12-yard line. Let's go to Mike Tirico. Mike.
Another running back who's making a name for himself this year. Brad, a lot easier name, Fred Taylor. His 2nd touchdown run of the day, this one from a couple of yards out. The Gators are going to win. They'll stay number 1. BC is inside the 10, threatening to close out the Irish.
Tirico gets the Taylors and the Johnsons, the Jones, and stuff like that. We get the Biakabutukas to the 12-yard line.
And Reamersma. That's
right. That's a tough one.
You know, I'll tell you, there's other bad news from people playing Michigan. When you look at that offensive line, we'll take a look at it. There's only 1 senior on that offensive line.
They've got a first down at the 12-yard line of the Spartans. Biakabutuka inside the 5. Flags are down. He got to the end zone. But do we have a holding call?
Wow, does he crease it or what?
That's a great run.
Big time run right there. That reminded me of Emmitt Smith hitting right up the line right there.
They're going to bring it back.
That's good. We'll get to watch him again.
Exactly. Get another carry. Gary Moeller not crazy about that call.
The offensive line for Michigan finally healthy. You'll see it. They've been able to open up holes throughout this whole game. Again, they catch him in a stunt. But watch. Biakabutuka, see it. He kind of tiptoes through there, never slowing down. And boy, that was a nice run. And he stretches out to put the ball in there for a touchdown.
He had a 7-yarder last week against Iowa that was almost like that, only went outside and took people with him.
I tell you, and he's running it against a solid Michigan State defense, but they have been softened up with the passing game, and now they really don't know what to do. I remember an old story. I used to play with a guy named Doug English, and he said, you know, Coach, the coaches said, you know, they got a 60% chance of running right and 40% chance of running left. He goes, well, that helps. What do you want me to do?
Now I really know what I'm doing, Coach. First and 19, flags down again. Wheatley near the 15. And with a penalty, we got time to go down to Adrian.
Brad, as far as Wheatley is concerned, obviously back in the game, the training staff had told me he actually leg whipped himself, if that's possible. Of course, as fast as he can go, as many turns as he can make, I guess he can do that. But more seriously, Biakabutuka over here on the sidelines now. Bent over, really took a shot in the sternum, had the wind knocked out of him. He's got 2 guys holding him up. I'll keep you updated here.
And he is in some pain on the sideline. The penalty is going to go against Michigan State as we keep bouncing back and forth on a first down.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty for the previous spot. Repeat, first down.
Well, Colorado looks like they've survived the tough part of their schedule, and now, you know, standing in the way of Kansas State and, you know, Nebraska, obviously, without a Tommy Frazier. What was that called, Brett?
I think that was something to do with the Wonder Bra. I have no idea. First down and 14 at the 16-yard line. And now we got motion. We've had 3 or 4 flags in a row. This time it's Marinero who jumped a little early.
Dead ball. False start. Offense.
Keep it on
penalty.
Keeping on schedule right here. I tell you, talking about Michigan, I mean, they have played some people. Now, you got to remember Iowa. That's the biggest game on their schedule. They played last week, Iowa. For Iowa is Michigan. Now they got done with Colorado and Notre Dame. Next week they get Penn State. You don't think Illinois is going to be ready to play them. And then Wisconsin coming back here. You know, but I think that's going to make them a better football team, and that's why I think they've got the advantage over Penn State next week.
That schedule makes Marcia Clark look like Little Red Riding Hood.
Boy, she's got tough opponents on.
First down, 19. Wheatley down near the 12. Stan Callender holding on for dear life, but Wheatley and Biakabatuka just keep adding to the total.
This is the best running team I've seen Michigan have since they were in the Gator Bowl, where they had that whole senior team. Steve Everett and those guys were back and blocking. They look like they can run the ball this year, and this is going to be a tough offense to stop. I mean, they have just dominated this football game from start to finish.
How about the balance of those two guys, Wheatley and Biakabatuka?
Yeah, the way I read it is 145, 141, and the next guy they get in there has a chance to get up that high, too. It has been domination.
Second down and 10 now as they've made up yardage lost on the penalty. Wheatley high steps it and carries it down to about the 5-yard line. He gets those knees pumping and shows that high hurdle form that won him the Big Ten high hurdle championship. This time we get him up close.
Ty Wheatley gets the ball. Obviously, he doesn't look when he gets it, just trying to find a seam. Hey, there's Runyon. There's a guy that looks like he's on my team. Luke Benzie again has to come up and make the stop. And Ty Wheatley, I think the more he runs the ball, the better he'll be for later in the season when he has to go against a tough Illinois defense, Penn State next week, Wisconsin coming up. He needs the running.
There's the numbers today. Not too shabby. Following up the 182 of a week ago. Third down, a long 5. Michigan at the Spartans 7-yard line. Wheatley to the 4. It's going to be 4th down and about 2. And this is a point I would think you could go for it if you wanted to, because there's a 24-point difference already.
Oh, yeah, I think I would go for it. I don't think he really wants to rub it in on George Perlis either, though, at this point. Just send the field goal team in and kick the field goal is not, you know, any big deal. I don't think either way it makes much difference.
Hamilton hasn't missed today on field goals or extra points, and this one's basically an extra point in length. They'll put it down at the 11. It's a 21-yard field goal attempt. There's the numbers today, 38, 26, and 33, and now trying to add 21 to that total, and does. Hamilton's field goal has stretched the lead further out, and it stretched the possibility a lot further for Michigan State to come back, as now the Wolverines are up by 27.
Since we started like the new Dodge, and by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold.
Burton Memorial Tower, erected in memory of Marion Leroy Burton, president of the University of Michigan back in the 20s. And inside Michigan Stadium, 106,000 plus watching the Wolverines put it to the Spartans. And a little bit payback from a year ago in a 17-7 loss. It's been the Biakabatuka-Wheatley show, or vice versa, whichever way you want to look at it today. Great running by both.
When your tailback, if your tailback has 300 yards, you're doing pretty good. That's what they have.
Mason comes over to field Hamilton's kick at the 5. Got a little bit of a wedge. And across the 40, Derek Mason has worked hard on his kick returns and done a nice job with it today. Let's go to Mike Tirico. Michael.
Brad, we told you they were tied in the ACC in Chapel Hill. Give it to the Johnsons. Leon from the 8 gets down to the goal line and punches it in on the next snap. Carolina by 7. Tech has a final shot. We'll keep you updated. It's almost a final. They've done it again. BC will beat Notre Dame for the 2nd straight year.
And Irish eyes are not smiling 2 years in a row against that club.
Boy, and just think, those are the Catholic kids Notre Dame didn't want.
Yeah, exactly. Dan Henning got him. That's a huge win for Henning in his first year. Banks wanting to throw a screen. Instead, Jason Horn. 6th sack today. I think he's got 3 of them, plus a fumble recovery. That is strong play from the junior out of Lafayette, Indiana.
Coming from the right side of the screen. This time he takes it right over Colin Cronin. Left guard just powers him into the backfield, and no fun throwing.
Last year, he had 5 tackles and a sack against Michigan State. Today, he has got 6 tackles and 2 sacks and a fumble recovery. Pretty good afternoon. Go with a draw now to Goulburn, and Goulburn finds an opening, and that's maybe the best run of the day by Dwayne. Out to midfield as he goes for 16 yards with 9:35 left in the football game.
I think the key for Michigan State in this season now is to put this game obviously behind them. I mean, they just can't get caught up in it. They've got Ohio State next week at home. That's going to be a huge football game for them, because if they want to go to one of the major 4 bowls, and remember, George is under a little bit of an edict to have an outstanding season. I think the key to his season is next week against Ohio State.
Here's Goulburn busting his way into the secondary, and good Clarence Thompson and a couple other guys with him. Noble made the tackle, but a 12-yard gain by Goulburn, and first down Michigan State.
Right, in comes Henderson and Zankowitz.
So much for going to line number 2, huh?
Right. They were not pleased with the backups that time and how they handled the running game. So in comes the main guys.
First down. Renard on this carry is going nowhere. That shows you maybe the difference of the lines right there. Morrison makes the tackle. Let's go to Adrian Karsten.
Brad, you would think a stadium that holds 106,000 people would tower above the surface of the ground, but it's actually only 12 rows above the ground here. A huge bowl completed October 1st, 1927. They actually say the steam shovel that dug the bowl here is somewhere buried beneath the surface, all right? Something else very unique about this stadium. You guys don't know how safe you are. Marsh snow. Look at this. See, I'm getting melted down here.
They think he's a 6'6" cup of hot chocolate down there.
It's not like bratwurst in Wisconsin.
You better cover yourself, or that crane won't be the only thing buried under Michigan Stadium.
Helmet here, guys.
That's tough duty. Back on the field at the 34-yard line. It's going to be a 3rd down at 7 coming up for Michigan State. They trail 40-13. And we're under 8 minutes counting.
Again, maybe Michigan State's best football player, most explosive player, Will Coleman, has not touched the ball in this game.
And the ball just came off Banks' hand that time. That was a whiff. And it brings up 4th and long.
I think Carter fooled him that time. He thought Najee Carter was going to come across, and Carter ran a stop route and broke out the other way, and Banks was ready to throw the ball, and he had to try to reload. You know, I really felt that this Michigan State team, this would have been a bonus game for them to win this game. I'm sure 40-13 is going to be a bit embarrassing for them, but you know, they had 3 big games: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio State. They won the Wisconsin game. They got Ohio State next week. That's the game they have to win.
5 out of 6 on the year in their 4th down conversions. 4th and 7 here. Banks running for his life on a bad ankle and comes out of the pile somehow and goes long for Carter and got it. Oh, at the 4-yard line. 30 yards later.
That was a great scramble by Tony Banks, but my naked eye is getting bad because I thought that ball was out of bounds when he caught it. I guess when the score's 40-13, you got to give the right. Watch him. He reverses field a couple times. Nobody open, nobody open. Let me go this way. Zekowitz.
Oh, there's Henderson.
Okay. Let me see something white out there. Can I throw to? Now let's see if Carter gets his feet in bounds on this catch. Yes,
give it to him.
His right foot was in. Great job of staying with that throw and collapsing with the throw and keeping your right foot down.
Najee Carter with his 4th catch, and that's Shane Hanna, who's down, the left tackle. All 325 pounds of him, a senior.
They might have to bring that crane to get him off.
Right.
If it's around here
If it's at the 37-yard line, just have it come straight up. Out of Carlisle, Ohio. He's trying to give Banks some help in front of him here.
It's like his left arm gets bent back there, and that's really when either a wrist or his arm, his elbow pops. Zankiewicz was just running by him, and I think when he's put his hand out, it looked like something might have twisted his left arm. You see it in the middle of his torso there. Shane Hanna, 6'5", 320-some pounds.
Always get a kick out of the guys that are 5'3", trying to help them off the field.
Right. You either get up and walk or you're staying here, son.
It's 1st and goal for Tony Banks and company. Banks sure hasn't quit today.
Well, Tony
Keeps
Banks,
on winging it.
Yeah, Tony Banks can throw the football. Right now, the Michigan front 3 has really dominated the football game, but he can throw when given time.
Only 6 out of 7 this half. 1st and goal just outside the 4. Goldberg. Not a very good handoff. Flags fly into the middle. As Banks wheeled to hand off to Goldberg, the two were a little too close, and they ran into each other, and that didn't help that play develop too much. And the holding call won't help either. Northwestern leading Wisconsin in another Big Ten game, and you know Wisconsin without Darrell Bevel is going to have some problems.
Holding. Offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 1st down.
Gary Barnett has done a nice job at Northwestern. I mean, that's still a pretty young football team, and the difference that this Northwestern team that I see is they're a more physical football team. You know, you used to go into Northwestern and think, well, if their quarterback gets hot, you know, they might make some plays against you and beat you. But now
they got a big bruising runner up there.
They run the ball, and their offensive line is very adept at running the ball, and he may just have that team back on a position where they can compete in this league, and that would be great for Northwestern.
Coleman and Carter, the wideouts for Banks, has now been backed up to the 14-yard line. Here they approach 7 minutes. Here they come on the blitz. Banks to the end zone to Coleman, and he can't get there. Had to throw it to a spot. Coleman didn't quite break out that way.
Well, part of the job of the wide receiver on that play usually is when a strong safety blitzes, you have to see it. This time he was on the fade. The ball's in the air right now. Ty Law is Michigan's best cover guy. Really doesn't get a lot of opportunity to cover people because people don't throw the ball much this direction.
They've tried to get it to Coleman 3 times, but he is without a reception. I think they just made the announcement of the Boston College Notre Dame score here at Michigan Stadium. I think that's why the roar went up.
Or free pizza.
It's a lot of pizza. 107,000. Banks to Green out of the backfield. He's got a touchdown catch already today. This one goes inside the 10 to the 9. Ty Law made the tackle.
I'll tell you, this is a great football area. I live in the area, Brad, and I can recall weekends where Michigan would play at home with 106,000. Michigan State would play at home with 75,000. The Tigers would be playing with 40,000. The Red Wings would play that night with 25,000. And I couldn't get a ticket for any of them.
Then you had to play the next day for the Lions.
That's right. And they'd have 20,000.
Boy, they got some heat going on there, don't they?
Well, they'll turn it around. They'll turn it around. I think they got a pretty good football team.
3rd down and 9 for Tony Banks. To the end zone again for Carter. Touchdown. Good-looking play. Isaiah Carter, his career high in catches and yards, and now he's added a touchdown to the resume.
Yeah, they came again with the blitz. Waldrop was right in his face, and we saw the touch pass from Todd Collins earlier. This time Banks calmly puts it into the end zone. And, you know, this is going to help this Michigan State team later in the year. As Banks continues to improve, they will become an offense that's more balanced. And that's what they needed in this game, and they couldn't produce it. Balance.
Gardner's extra point is good. With 6 minutes, 16 seconds remaining in the ball game. Michigan State on the board, but still being doubled by the Wolverines.
Not so long ago, Honda...
Good afternoon, and it's Michigan's day, 40-12, 6:16 left in the football game. And Costello will tee it up and kick away, or will he? Michigan thinks that he's going to try an onside here, as they've got 9 men within 15 yards of the kickoff spot. And he does kick away. Yakabatuka is the man trying to shag it down. Tamunder got to it at about the 4-yard line. And only got back to the 15. Here we were talking about Tony Banks, been playing on a bad ankle a good portion of this game, and no quit in him, and he took a shot on that last play that did net a Michigan State touchdown, but he's a tough kid.
Right, from the right side of your screen, Kerwin Waldrop comes again right into full blitz with really no one picking him up. They overloaded the blitz, and Tony Banks, great touch on the pass, gets it through, and he's learning, and it'll help the Spartans as we listen to the Michigan fight song again.
12 out of 18 for 220 yards for Tony Banks, a native Californian. He said, you know, I know about USC and UCLA. I don't know much about Michigan State. I'm sure all that changed this week as he approached the game, and now he knows what it feels like to be in the stadium with this many people and in the atmosphere of the Big Ten. Penalty markers before the snap. Michigan State's defense has had a number of penalties today. This one going against them too.
Dead ball. Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Last week, Hank Bulla's defense able to force 4 turnovers against Wisconsin, and they turned them into points. And today, the turnover battle has been won by Michigan.
Yeah, how many times did all the coaches tell us that we've got to hold on to the football and not give Michigan State any short field touchdowns or field goals?
First down at 5 now for the Wolverines from the 20. Davis, the third tailback, with maybe Yakabatuka and Wheatley's days over.
I'll tell you one guy who's had a good football game. We've talked about the tailbacks, but center Rod Payne, number 52. I thought Aaron Jackson did a great job last week at nose tackle against Corey Raymer, an outstanding center for Wisconsin, but Aaron Jackson's been no factor, so you got to say, hey, Rod Payne, you're doing a pretty good job. You know, he's a sophomore just, and he's following some great centers here at Michigan. Steve Everett, Mark Melia, and you know, he's the type of guy that could really spearhead an offensive line here for the next 3 years.
Payne getting a breather. Juan Hammonds is down. And being helped up with 6:02 left in the game. You know, earlier, Adrian Carson had a chance to talk to sort of a special player and a special person down on the field.
Do you recognize the face of the most valuable player from the 1934 Wolverine squad, number 48, center Gerald R. Ford, the 38th President of the United States, to have your number retired today, Mr. President, after all that you have accomplished. You admitted to me yesterday that you never set out as a senior here at Michigan to attain the office of President of the United States or to have your number retired. At the age of over 80 years, this must be quite an experience for you here today.
Well, as I said, it's overwhelming, unbelievable. When I left the University of Michigan 60 years ago, I had no idea that I would get into politics or end up in the White House. But I can say without any question, this day is memorable in my lifetime.
Mr. President, the experience that you would have had with the other varsity players in the locker room, on the field here at Michigan, was there one play or a conversation that took place with Coach Kipke or Coach Oosterbaan that you took with you into your public life?
Well, Coach Kipke was really an inspiration to me. He was a great Michigan football player in the 20s, and he recruited me, and I played under him for 3 years. He was just the kind of a person that gave you inspiration, guided you properly, and I'll always be very deeply grateful to Coach Kipke for whatever happened after I left the university.
Mr. President, we're grateful as well. Congratulations.
Thank
it's
you.
A privilege. Brad, the president actually played here in the days when the football was round. They're doing some other things with round ball here at Michigan these days.
That's right. They do it pretty well, too, with Steve Fisher and company.
Well, I tell you, that about covers it for Adrian, doesn't it? From marshmallows to the president.
Yeah, you got to love that.
Interviews. That covers it for a sideline reporter.
You know, we try to every week increase Adrian's input. Last week he was eating bratwurst in the ball game, and this week he's got the president with him. First down for the Wolverines at the 28-yard line. Here's Davis on a counter off the right side. And he got it out to about the 30 and lost his hat in the process. Michigan State sacked 6 times today. And the Wolverines on 7 straight possessions got points, and then all you have to say is Biaka Batuka and Wheatley, and you've said a mouthful, but look at what they've done on the ground. 3 touchdowns and almost 300 yards rushing.
When you factor in Ed Davis, the third tailback to play in this game, they've went over 300 yards from the tailback position for Michigan. Those are enormous numbers against a very proud defense for Michigan State. Close to, what, 320 yards, Pat McGrath, our statistician, is telling us.
And we're under 5 minutes, 40-20. Michigan ready to ice their 4th win of the year.
Boy, and it doesn't get any easier, does it, for Michigan? Next week they line it up for another huge football game here.
And Penn State had the week off to prepare. Minnesota, Purdue have a good one going. Indiana leading Iowa.
Remember last year that 59-56 last year, the Minnesota Purdue game?
3rd down and almost 5 upcoming. Michigan State's hoping that they could have put back-to-back wins over Michigan together after what they did a year ago in East Lansing, and it's not going to happen today. 3rd down and 5. Chris Howard, and Gary talked about him earlier, one of the young backs who goes out for a 1st down out to the 39-yard line. Orion Hayes made the tackle.
I don't think they're ever going to run out of good running backs. Chris Howard's from Louisiana, John Curtis High School, and Chris Howard is a guy that they feel is going to step in next year along with Biaka Batuka when Wheatley leaves and provide some depth at tailback. They got another guy too, Chris Floyd. That's
he's coming in right now.
Right.
Collins comes out. And he had quite a game too. 16 of 23, 211 yards and a touchdown. Now Michigan, knowing they have it in hand, will go with some of the younger guys to give them a chance to see some action. And there's Jason Carr, who, if the name rings a bell, Lloyd Carr, defensive coordinator, is his dad.
And now Dad, usually he's thinking about what's going on for the next defensive series. I got to believe he's out there watching.
Yeah. My defense has done the job. I want to watch my kid for the next 3 minutes.
Neat deal, isn't it? Being able to have your son on the team at the same time when you're coaching. Just as long as no one says Cordell Stewart to Lloyd Carr, he'll be happy.
That's exactly right. Second down, 6. The toss. And Floyd goes to the 48-yard line. George Perlis and what he has to look forward to. And it doesn't get very easy either for Michigan State. Ohio State is next.
I think, though, that having that Ohio State game at home, remember they missed 3 or 4 field goals last year against Ohio State, or could have won that football game. And I believe that's a team that matches up pretty well for George Perlis' team. And that's one, again, for him to keep all the critics off his back. And it's not an easy job. Being a head coach in college right now, he has to win next week, I believe.
As George said after his win last week, everybody will want to go out and celebrate the Michigan State victory, but you're only going to be able to tie me because I'm going out to celebrate too, which he did last week. And they have the 24-hour grace period, he always calls it, with his players. Go out and have fun and enjoy it for 24 hours and get back to work. And the back to work, the job took them to Ann Arbor today, and they're just facing a team that's having quite a ball game, 40-20. You know, and you watch all the people in the stadium. They're either wearing maize and blue or they're wearing green and white. And these 2 young ladies who started our show today, if you happen to have missed it, identical twins. And there's Dad, that's Tom Crawford, and there's wife Tina, and they got the little boy with them. But those 2 little girls, we had a chance to run into those 2 last night, and they are 2 of the cutest Spartan and Wolverine fans you'd ever want to see in your life. They're 3 years old, and when Dad comes home from work, he's the big Michigan fan.
Right,
he graduated from Michigan, and his wife graduated from Michigan State, and so you can imagine what goes on in the household. And when he comes home from work, they say, "Go Gween, Daddy, go Gween." And he's trying to get him to say maize and blue, and it just doesn't seem to work. It's a happy day for Michigan fans with 1:18 left to play.
Hi. Cool weather is just around the corner, and it's never too early to start.
Da-da-da, da-da-da.
40-20 Michigan with 1:18 left in the game. Today's Kelly Springfield players of the game are from Michigan State. The guy you're looking at on the sideline, Juan Hammonds, who really worked hard trying to bring down the running backs from Michigan. And he had as much success or more than anybody else did on that defense. And from Michigan, one of the guys hard to bring down. Tyrone Wheatley, 153 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 through the air, and he and Biaka Batuka were something special today. Kelly Springfield proud to donate $1,000 each to the school's general scholarship fund on behalf of those 2 young guys. Second down and 8, Michigan. And Floyd hit by Yakini Allen as soon as he got the handoff. I wanted to mention those little girls' names, Kelsey and Taylor Crawford. I couldn't find their names, but we want to thank them for being part of the pregame festivities
now,
today.
let me get this right. He's from Michigan.
He's from Michigan.
She's from Michigan State.
Right.
And if Michigan State doesn't have a good day today,
we asked her what goes on at home the night that Michigan State loses, and she paused and said, not much at all.
I got to believe he was secretly rooting for Michigan State.
After the kids are turned in for the night. And Michigan State out of timeouts.
Look at this guy right here in the middle of your screen right here on Mill Coleman, finishing up a great career at Michigan State. This is going to be his last Michigan game, and you know, he's a honor student at Michigan State, academic, all Big Ten player, and he is what college football should be all about. And this guy, that's Steve Everett, the old All-American center. Now
the Browns.
He plays pro football, and he hasn't spent a dime of his money yet.
No.
Close.
He's got a nice Browns cap there on backwards.
That's one that I threw away, I think. Look how old that is. He's got the same clothes on he had when he was a freshman when he came in here.
Isn't he the artist, too, and everything? A painter?
You know, all the guys on the Michigan bench say, well, I might as well stay in college. I'm doing better than that.
Incomplete on the pass intended for Anthony Williams from Jason Carr. Don't forget, coming up 7 o'clock tonight, it gets fun again. The Residents In College Football Scoreboard Show, as you'll see all the highlights and scores from today's activity. Then CFA Primetime live from the Orange Bowl, 3rd-ranked Florida State at number 13 Miami. Well, that'll be our matchup, 7:30 tonight on ESPN. Tumunga, Biaka Batuka, and Ty Wheatley with huge days on the ground from Michigan. A day that is almost done now. Down to 1:05 remaining in the ball game, and a punt upcoming. Craig Baker has not had to be too busy today because there were 7 straight drives that resulted in points, and with that, I think Craig shows maybe that he's a little rusty as he hit one off the side of his foot out at the 23-yard line. Only a 23-yard kick. So Penn State with a week off, waiting next for Michigan.
Well, there's always something to worry about, isn't there, Gary? You got a game that you gained 350 yards on the ground. You worry about your punting game.
Well, we're down to a couple of putts here. There are no more drives left.
Yeah, I'll tell you, though, that coming up next week, I think the game that's going to determine who goes to the Rose Bowl in the Big Ten. If Penn State walks in here and beats Michigan, there might not be anybody head off that football team.
As you saw when we looked at Michigan State's schedule, their season-ending regular season game is Thanksgiving weekend against Michigan State up in Happy Valley. And that could be huge, too. If Penn State can run the board up to that point, then Michigan State could be a spoiler. Spartans with Tony Banks still winging it out to Scott Green, his fullback, who is not going to quit either. Dropped the ball, but covered it himself at the 34-yard line with Ty Law draped all over him. And a first down as they move the sticks. I've been impressed with Tony Banks.
Yeah, he's
not only on film and then last week and then today again.
Definitely getting better, and he just needs to be able to do more of this earlier in the game.
Well, he's running around for his life and throws a nice touch pass out. Nigel Carter already has his best career day, and he adds to it as he gets down to the 45-yard line. 20-yard pickup. Huge day for Nigel Carter. Career highs all the way around, including a touchdown catch. And we're down to the final seconds. Spiking it to stop the clock with 8 seconds left, that is.
I always get a kick out of the fans that boo, like, what is Michigan State supposed to do? I mean, what I always think is, what are you sitting here for if you don't want us to play? You don't want us to try to keep playing when we're behind. Go out to the parking lot.
Some of them have taken that cue from you, Gary. They head to the exits, a happy group of Wolverine backers today. Last year, they took it on the chin. Today, Michigan State dominated by the ground game and the rushing defense of the Wolverines. And this is the final play of the day. Scott Green blasts his way for a first down and then some. But that's about all, because in the end, 17-yard gain doesn't really matter. Gary Moeller, his team goes to 4-1. Final score, the Wolverines of Michigan over their in-state rivals from Michigan State, 40-20, as Coach Moeller and Coach Perlis shake hands at the end of it. That's going to wrap it up. 40-20 for Gary Danielson, Adrian Karsten, and our entire ESPN crew. I'm Brad Nessler saying so long from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Final score, 40-20, as we head to Mike Tariq.
Dakota Sport.